Good day and welcome to the Patrick Star Game.
Soon to be a lifelong obsession of children born approximately 7 to 10 years ago.
So,
I say that with only love in my heart.
as I'm just playing with Patrick's eyes going back and forth.
Yeah, that's actually a little. Did not immediately catch that. That's a little concerning.
He's excited about
cool.
everything.
He's excited, but I mean, it's concerning because I don't want him staring at me.
He's not staring at you. He's staring.
It's true.
At
He's staring at the
the
menu.
new game.
So, tonight,
Looking at Ray.
for our second appearance on Even Worse Streams, we have our special guest, who can say hi in a moment, who was I believe your official title was game designer on this?
Yes.
Okay, so we can safely say we have the official game designer for our Patrick Star game tonight. Say hi.
One of the game designers. There were multiple people working on this. Hi, I'm Jason Corbett. I go by Black Upo online, and I was a game designer on the Patrick Star game.
Hooray!
You sure you're not going to just let Gogglebop give you all of
Of course,
the
that's where this starts.
So Patrick Star is up and exciting. Now I will state that
Patrick Star is a man of simple pleasures.
This game came out, I believe, at the beginning of October, if memory serves.
Yes.
And
Right.
unlike when we played the Justice League game or whatever we're gonna call that, I have not played this before the stream, other than just to test to make sure it worked. So, I apologize in advance if I kill a starfish fan.
I have, however, seen videos on YouTube of people talking about the speedrun potential and then showing me images of Patrick somehow flying with a vacuum cleaner. So I think there's potential here.
Please do not expect me to use advanced vacuum cleaner techniques, either in real life or video games.
I don't know that it needs to be advanced. I think you'll figure out ways to destroy yourself.
Just stumble on it.
Much like real starfish, though, Patrick is probably indestructible, so you'll be fine.
Probably indestructible. That's how I live my life.
I just assume I'm indestructible and then see what happens.
I want to give a shout out to Equinox Fracture in the chat, who is
hello.
who is the sound designer on this
Oh.
game.
Oh,
Good day and welcome.
I feel sad that I won't be able to hear the sound. I need to pick this up, though.
Well, if it's anything like the last one, I'll end up picking it up too. It
does always make me wonder, like, if there's... I'm not sure if this is something that you'd be able to actually say, but if there's any...
Hello.
Oh, hey. If there's any sort of guidance about, like, do they care... Does the license holder care about, like, for example, the layout of Bikini Bottom here?
Yes, but
Okay. Because it just seemed like I've seen it in like 5 million games and it never seems even slightly consistent. So I was wondering if they had any opinions on that. But I suppose you probably can't go into detail on that.
I would say it's not even consistent in the show.
Yeah, it's not consistent in the show, which is why I was like wondering, like, did they if they had opinions on it for derivative works? But
they have opinions on what should be there, what should be close to each other. It's kind of they'll know it when they see it, or they'll complain about it if it's not quite right. Or,
you just have to wait for the notes.
Or we just, say, hey, we did this for gameplay reasons, or we did this for, and you try to justify why you did what you did.
Yeah, I will state that for what it is worth, I have a friend who years and years ago, what was the one Simpsons game that was on PC, like Virtual Springfield or something?
Oh God, Virtual Springfield from '97.
Yeah, from '97. That would be about right. Who played that in probably '97 or so, and from that point on in his life, would always have opinions when the show put something that it wasn't where it was in the game, and it was just kind of like, yo, I don't think anybody cares. But
Evidently he does, but
this
is like a real magical xylophone man.
Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of like, oh, no, I played the game. It's like that. It's like, no, it's not. Don't worry about it.
I do the same thing with billion movies or TV, so, but that's a little different because it's a real world space.
Yes.
As opposed to cartoon space, which, I mean, Bikini Bottom might be real world space to somebody, but not me.
I mean,
You're
it's arguably not even real to Patrick.
He just fell through that slide.
Yeah, Patrick.
Oh, there's a lot of, you know, I think there's a lot of, I guess you could say jank or, you know,
collision
ways
is a
that it could be
suggestion.
I think that is something that we wanted to keep. You know,
I appreciate.
I like it.
I appreciate the idea that Patrick works on Goat Simulator rules.
But it's kind of funny, like, to watch, like, some of the people, like, there's a lot of different reactions from the speedrunners to some of the professional reviewers to some of the, like, there was a great YouTube review that I think got what we were trying to do, and just, like, really liked the playfulness of it. But everyone, like, there's so many people who are like, oh, like, I fell through the world, I got an achievement for that, and it's like, technically no, but sure. Like, we're okay with you
if
getting
it's
that,
fun, then it's fine.
it's kind of funny, like the cargo cult that kind of comes around, like, oh, everyone like falls, like they only get the feat once when they fall through the world, and it says rock bottom. You're supposed to just fall off the cliff, but you know, it's just kind of funny how, you know, this sort of
that
weird,
makes me imagine that it's
magic,
like,
you know, thinking comes in. If I did this, like, that must be why that happened.
sure, why not?
Thinking is overrated.
It does make me wonder if, like, it makes me assume that the way the achievement is implemented is that it's just looking for how far you've fallen, and so once you've fallen far enough, it just sort of gives
Pretty
it to
much.
you.
There's a specific Y position.
That would make
and
sense.
I just hooked it into the global reset.
Yeah.
If you happen to collide with the ground a certain way and fall through it, then, you know,
It's
all-
one of
it
those
all
things
happens.
that, like just because something's like an unintended behavior doesn't make it a bad thing. Like, you know, bugs are bad when it's like, oh, like I can't play the game I wanted the way I wanted to anymore, or like in a way that's fun anymore. But like when a bug is just like it did this silly funny thing, it's like, I mean, you know, SpongeBob as a show is medium breaking, so it's fitting that the game would do so too.
Why have so many people left their hot dogs unattended?
They knew what was happening.
They're careless. They're careless down there in Bikini Bottom.
So the picnic tables exploded, and that was great.
Patrick is hungry boy.
Whose next
That is
burp will
true.
be stronger.
You took my only food, now I'm going to starve.
I also have to say, whoever is responsible for the walking and running animations, like, give that person a raise, because the way Patrick kind of toddles here is great.
He just looks like he's constantly at risk of becoming the plaything of physics.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately accurate.
Yeah, and it's great.
I don't know if anybody else is reading the chat there. Equinox Fracture said that's exactly it. Fix bugs that negatively impact stuff, but for this specific genre, it's crucial to keep bugs that can positively impact.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
what they
especially for like a kid's game, a lot of these things are going to be just like the thing that a child remembers as like the funniest thing they ever saw.
Yeah.
Excuse me, some of us are still act like children.
I'm just saying that it's more magical when you're a small child.
It's
Eventually, our
more
brains desiccate and have difficulty feeling joy.
Yeah, because like me pointing out the bug wasn't a bad thing. Like I was like I didn't play a lot of games, but I did watch a bunch of like dumb Gmod animations, and like seeing seeing the models freak out was like incredibly funny to me.
This is not aiming for the market that like feels very strongly that if a game that if a game model ever freaks out that the game is unmercantile goods and they are citing their rights as a consumer to sue you.
I would say like it's not aiming for any of that, but I think definitely people come into it with a lot of preconceived notions from other SpongeBob games. Thing like, oh, like, you know, and that's a whole other can of worms where like, you know, they'll look at it and be like, oh, like why didn't they do another Cosmic Shake? And it's like, we're not the same developer. We're not even the same publisher, you know, like that's...
Cosmic Shake came out like a year ago at most. Don't you just want that developer to make another one? Why can't another developer make a different thing?
But I think there's a lot of people that don't realize that it's made by other people. Or they're like, oh, like we got the models from, game. Like these are all the same models from, you know, those games. And like, no, we made all fresh models for this game. You know, this is the fresh.
If you model Patrick Star in 3D, he's gonna kind of look like that.
I was about to say Patrick Star is kind of an established character. I hate to say it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just that, you know, we're not sharing those models. You know, so
I think the Cosmic Shake studio was like, that was Purple Lamp, right? Was that German?
I'm not sure if they're German, but yeah, Purple Lamp Studios is the ones that did Cosmic Shake and the Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Yeah, yeah, I remember they were. I was trying to recall if they were the same studio. I think they also did it. They just released Epic Mickey Rebrushed, actually, but.
Oh, yeah, I was reminded of that existing by a Black Friday, so.
Now I need to look this up because I'm curious where they're actually from. But, you know, even in unless you're like literally the same studio, you're probably not making a lot of like cross-asset reuse even for an established IP.
At least not. You're so close.
No.
No.
Also, I just realized the name.
Yay!
Okay, I was slightly wrong. Purple Lamp is from Vienna.
Wow. Austria.
Do they speak German?
Vienna, somewhere else.
No, Vienna, Austria. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm not entirely familiar with the SpongeBob universe, as some others may be, but I'm entertained by the physics. But also the fact that was called the Glove Boat is gonna have me giggling for a little while.
I got gloves for my glove action figure.
Yeah, I was amazed recently when I was looking it up that, like, Ren and Stimpy ended, like, 3 years before SpongeBob or something, and then, of course, SpongeBob has never stopped ever.
Wow.
Like, it's one of those things that my
SpongeBob
brain
was, I
doesn't...
think, a bunch of ex-Rocko's Modern Life people.
Is that how it started? Because that's ideal, because Rocko's Modern Life was always one of my favorites.
I would say it stopped briefly, and this is maybe a distinction that is more noticeable for people who are older versus younger generation. The first 3 seasons were produced by the creator, Hillenberger? Steven
Hillenberg. Yeah.
Steven Hillenberg.
Hillenberg. Yeah, Steven Hillenberg. And then Nickelodeon kind of took over the rest of it, and like, I think he had a reduced role. I think maybe not like totally out of it, but
yeah, he was kind of like an honorary sort of supervisor until his death.
Right, and there's definitely a different, I would say, a vibe that's different from the original run. versus everything that's come after. And I think
Yeah, his involvement basically ends with the first movie.
right. And I think that's where they're like, oh, and this is done. And then Nickelodeon chose to continue, and obviously it's hugely successful and popular. But if you're older, and you might remember some of those first few seasons, the things that you like might be a little different than what Nickelodeon wants SpongeBob to be now. Which is their prerogative.
They have a
SpongeBob-
specific brand identity they want to cultivate.
SpongeBob, like all things, is both ephemeral and a moving target.
I like how that guy's just like this is the stuff that we did not want to fix. The people wandering into your cutscene, we wanted that.
That is good.
This glove that you probably already grabbed.
Yeah, people wandering into a cutscene was definitely my favorite part of like random, completely serious RPGs where just somebody can just randomly show up and just be standing there. I think
Like just trying to push between the two characters having a conversation
yeah,
and
I'm
failing.
pretty sure like one of the Fable games had that as a significant like quote unquote issue where a character would be telling you how like your pet dog just died and somebody would just be standing there like, "Hello, love. How are you doing?" It's like, we're having a moment here. Could you just leave us alone? Thanks.
You just cut out when you were doing the impression.
Good. The stream was protecting itself.
Yes, the stream believes in itself.
Yeah,
The stream does what it can to prevent us from experiencing Gogglebob at his most powerful.
Which is still like a 2 out of 10.
I like that I'm
So-
finding gloves at Glove World.
There have to be gloves at Glove World.
Over at the Glove Boat.
How else would you get through the tunnel of glove?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, he's a starfish. He's got 5 points. How many gloves can he wear?
All of them.
How many do you think?
5. Well, 4. Well, 5.
I think 5 is
God,
workable.
Let Rome sit with that one for a minute.
It's like,
He has
wait,
been
no.
shown wearing a glove as a hat. I'm appreciating Patrick's 10-foot vertical leap.
Patrick, that's established series canon. As established in the episode, Patrick joins the basketball team.
It also established canon is that physics are difficult to explain.
Especially underwater.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
they're underwater. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
We're underwater. How come we have a campfire?
This raises more questions.
I do love that the second they ask, it goes out.
Yeah.
Well,
That's one of those SpongeBob moments I remember fondly.
That's also like Roadrunner physics.
Mm.
Or Coyote physics. As soon as he realizes that there's no ground under him, he falls.
Yeah. Which ties back nicely to video games.
I was about to
there's
say,
a
we're
much-
not allowed
not
to say
that fight.
coyote.
There's
Not
a
a place
much
for that fight.
yes, hot topic in video games called Coyote Time. And I think it is a fully appropriate tool for when it's for certain cases.
Coyote time is good.
Excellent.
Or is it? It probably is. It's fine.
It turns out people generally have a much lesser idea of where they are in 3D space than they want to think, as well as their momentum, and thus Coyote Time steps in to help us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and also just in general, I can't tell you how many times in the original Mega Man I walked him off of a cliff and just watched him drop like a rock.
I mean,
And
old school
it's-
Mega Man, it's always hard to tell, like, okay, where is his center of gravity? When will he fall off?
Yes, and then
I think as
it's
long as
Mega Man
one pixel of his foot is touching the ground, he won't fall.
I don't think it's consistent.
I can tell you that Mega Man 1, I believe, if you fall off of something, like if you don't jump but fall, you like immediately hit terminal velocity. So just Mega Man shoots into the pit like a rocket.
Hell yeah.
And that's the end of him.
Apple Vigor, I'm not sure if you're aware, but tonight we have a special guest, one of the developers of the game Gogglebob's playing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
I don't
The
actually know
Patrick
the
Star
names.
game.
I was
The
about to
Patrick
say,
Star game.
I keep trying to think of the actual like full name. It's like SpongeBob Presents, is it?
Or SpongeBob Square or something about it. Ignore that. It's the SpongeBob. It's the Patrick game.
It's the Patrick Star game in the same way that there's the Patrick Star show.
Yeah. I think. Oh, that's a whole other can of worms. This is not that. This is distinctly not that.
Oh, look at Patrick. He's
you were
jumping
told-
around.
Distinct license.
Yes,
That kind of made me dizzy.
I love it. I love it like when games just let you accelerate the camera in stupid ways.
I mean, it does give you the idea of like you're on a ride. Like it's,
Yeah.
Like I mean, one thing that always disappointed me as a child, like we have local amusement parks, and I was always kind of annoyed that the fist of pain. But we have local amusement parks, and like I never really felt like there was anything in video games when I was a kid that really properly simulated like just being on a tilt-a-whirl. Like, I wanted to be able to go home from the amusement pier and play a game that you could basically go on a roller coaster, and
I wanted to simulate the thing I just saw.
and brother,
Yeah.
roller coaster Tycoon was not it.
I love
game-
the thing that would always disappoint me as a child. Pause. Was when they would say, "I've stopped taking drugs. I'll never forget you. I'll never forget you at school again." But they lie.
Wow.
They don't mean to,
That got dark fast.
but they do.
That got dark approximately 3 seconds in. But what this one of the things that like I do appreciate looking at this is that somehow even games based on comedies rarely have a sense of like slapstick, but by allowing so much of this to be randomly physics based, slapstick just happens.
Yeah.
And
Like we were
It's like
talking.
how Saints Row is a funny game, but oftentimes the funniest things you can do in Saints Row is just mess around.
Yeah.
it's when you get struck by a car and sent flying 30 feet.
That's why
Or
Saints
you
Row
jump
Or
over
whatever the
a
hell
wall.
just happened here. Holy God.
Oh no!
Oh yes, yes, Patrick, yes.
He's so fast.
But
He's so fast.
Nothing.
yeah, very few games.
Rolling.
Very few games have a sense of slapstick, which is wild. It fits perfectly with a character who.
There was another one.
One of the
Sorry.
jokes I most associate with this character is a scene from an early episode where SpongeBob is throwing like frozen patties on the ground, and he's shouting, "When these are expertly tossed with the skill of a champ, they become." And then Patrick jumps on them and slams into a wall, screaming, "A one-way ticket to pain."
That's funny.
I will
is
say
funny.
I can barely remember it, but my favorite Patrick moment
Is
from
that
the
the
show.
ride from the meme where it's just like one tiny little bump?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my
You
god.
lovingly recreated that. That's beautiful.
We had to get this in. This is
Yeah,
like,
no, you had to. You did the right
you-
thing.
You got to write it, too. There's some the various citizens in the world. One of the ones I love is like there's this kid that goes like, "I want to ride the mitten," you know. You might hear it a lot on the stream, but actually, there's for people who can hear the stream, one of the NPC voice actors is the same voice actor who did Tidus in Final Fantasy.
Oh, James Arnold Taylor.
Oh.
Yeah, James Arnold Taylor. Yeah, he's one of the
He gets
background
a-
NPCs.
He does like a lot of voice roles, right?
Yeah.
Oh, anyone who's like a career voice actor has been in so many things, but it's always fun when you catch them.
Cheering.
I remember in the 90s growing very fond of whenever I would catch like Michael Bell and things.
Madness.
Yay!
Be completed.
You simultaneously have to have a lot of patience and a lot of patience.
Oh man. So fanboy.
Yeah.
Just wanted you to know that in my quest to find
Oh no.
an archive of Nintendo Comics system,
Oh no.
I have found Predator versus Magnus Robot Fighter.
Oh god.
That's an incredible title.
Something that could only have happened when someone very specific had access to a very specific set of licenses.
But this was back when you could get you could get the Predator license for like $50.
There was something we lost when like there was a beautiful period where these things were things people liked or were nostalgic for if they were nerds, but which the rights holders thought were complete refuse that they would never touch again.
Yeah.
And so would just sort of let anything happen to them. And
Yeah.
I miss that.
Like no, this is like none of this matters to me. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Why not let Doctor Who cross over with the GoBots?
Incredible. Why not release Aliens Berserker?
What if the Punisher met Archie?
Oh man, seriously.
Someone
and the thing
asked that
is,
question, and for some reason, someone else answered.
seriously though, this is like what am I trying to say here? I think it was also like a chance to see some actually pretty talented European comics artists handle these fucking IPs.
I just want to say I looked at the Patrick Star game on Steam, and it suggests that it's similar to games that I've played, including Slime Rancher.
That makes sense.
Ooh.
There's a lot of bouncing in Slime Rancher, right?
I guess I should also see what it says I've played.
Similar to Goat Simulator.
I mean, that's
Most
the thing
definitely.
is, I've definitely said, I have a random, at this point, 10-year-old who hangs around on occasion. His favorite game to play on my systems is Goat Simulator, because it is just madcap horror. And there are many things in Goat Simulator that I have concerns about children playing.
Yep. Okay, it says that the game that's similar to the one I've played is Sonic Frontiers. Interesting choice.
You know, I kind of see it.
It's open world. You can go anywhere.
Like, especially
guess
Sonic
technically.
Frontiers post getting the spin dash.
You don't really have a spin dash in the game. You have a boost. It's a very big boost.
You can unlock a spin dash if you do everything.
No, well, I'm not doing everything.
Yeah. But the thing about the spin dash is that the spin dash in that is the fuck physics button.
Mm. Well, I do appreciate those. Those are always fun.
But yeah,
Play the game.
some of the things that occur when Patrick acts upon or is acted upon by a particularly large and fast-moving object remind me of what happens in Sonic Frontiers when you get the spin dash opened up.
I throw just as effectively as I think Patrick can throw.
I throw
I
way
think-
better than this. You just suck at throwing.
Yeah,
Ian does
you're not
not
Patrick.
think
better.
this is similar to any games that I have previously played.
I will check mine shortly.
I think two of our biggest influences, or at least early on, I think we kind of had to like forge our own way, but just as like a point of reference. Obviously,
Yeah.
Goat Simulator, like working title, Patrick Simulator.
No.
If only they had kept that, or
Right?
our other choice was This is Patrick. Really hoping for that. The Patrick Star game
is Patrick.
Another one is Human
Target
Fall Flat.
sauce.
Because there's a lot of like the way that you can grab things with two hands. You know, that's a very key mechanic.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Gogglebub, I'm not
This is
sure
the
if
part
this
where we
is
get
just
really
kind of
frustrated.
Oh my
with
God!
that.
Please aim at things. Good
This is
lord!
why I cheat on games, okay?
because you suck.
I can feel the frustration.
You
Oh
gotta
my
start-
God! Aliens versus Predator versus the
You gotta
Terminator.
like
Sorry.
start double fisting, grab both hands, throwing.
Yeah.
The an
Oh.
actual designer on this video game is losing their mind. Do you know how many focus groups they had to sit
Oh.
through?
You did it!
Not as
Yay!
many as you think. I will say I'm losing my mind less than versus Justice League, where you did not use any special moves. I was losing my mind then because
You kept your
Give him
composure
time
very
tonight
well.
is yet young.
Give it time.
here
Is it-
you can do whatever you want. You know, that
There's
is
no wrong
the point
answer.
of the game.
You're Patrick Star.
No. You let
You're
the
just
balloon
letting
go.
balloons go.
If you
You
have
only
one
get the one on
balloon,
pre-balloon day.
what happens if you had two balloons?
Oh.
Purple's my favorite color, and you let that one go. I hate you.
How dare you, Gogglebob?
The worst.
How
Friendship
dare
ended with
you.
Goggle Bob.
Yeah. Now Patrick Star is my best friend.
It's the best.
Oh wow, you
friendship
just got a little
ever.
pop-up
Best
in
friendship
your
ever.
top of your screen. Claiming that I'm playing Dragon Quest 3.
That seems like a lie.
Oh god, he just keeps going.
Gotta get back to your army of bimbos in Dragon Quest 3.
They are not bimbos. They are cocktail waitresses.
They are gadabouts, and you know
Have
it.
they gained the ability to feel existential dread?
No, they're all level 19.
Next level, baby.
They have, however, gained the ability to just absolutely shut down all their motor functions at will, it seems. I don't know why they want that so much, but they do.
They can.
I can
They
do
And
can.
the heart wants what
They
it
can
wants.
at least like spin their fingers in a circle to occasionally confuse enemies.
Well, the enemies still hit them with remarkable consistency, so I don't think it works.
It's possible for it to work. That doesn't mean it has to.
I had one actually kill herself by failing at juggling too hard.
As one does.
You would think that a class with that good of luck stat growth would have less issues with that.
Apparently, luck only designates
It
how
only
often-
governs critical hits, I believe.
I thought it was like how often status effects hit you. Which,
I think that's resilience.
oh, if that was the case, it'd be totally unimportant for them since they apply status effects to themselves all the time.
For fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
Patrick's a gadabout, I think.
Absolutely.
Absolute gadabout.
That means that
I don't know what
SpongeBob
that
also has a
means.
class too. I think he would also be a gadabout. I cannot.
No, he's more focused.
I don't know. what
Sometimes.
these words
SpongeBob
mean.
is SpongeBob not a sage?
I think. Yeah, that makes sense.
Depends on the episode. Sometimes it's pre-class change and sometimes it's post-class change.
Vacuum time.
Ballooning the distance.
Oh damn! You can fly.
Away
That's
I
awesome.
go. This belongs to Patrick now.
I just
Uh-oh.
want the same ride.
Well, this is terrifying.
Patrick has
Whee!
become Sky Patrick, God of Sky. And
Oh,
Patrick
no.
cannot be stopped.
Oh god.
Sorry, what did you just collect?
Mayo.
Mayo.
Okay.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Can be.
It might be.
No, Patrick, horseradish is not an instrument either.
Oh, never mind. They just reached level 20. So now they can
Hooray.
feel existential dread, which make me feel
Bikini
bad.
Bottom citizens scream.
It's fine. They have a very low chance of feeling existential dread.
Yeah, but like I don't want them to feel existential dread. Oh God, I'm role playing.
You gotta let them. You gotta let them spread their wings sometimes.
Yeah, but like this is like just imagine, if you will, like a man who's
I will
definitely
not.
too old and like to be hitting on a Hooters girl, and her just being like, "Yeah, you ever feel existential dread? That's what this is."
Look, you got a box.
Ride
And
the
a vacuum?
box.
There we go.
The box now. The box.
Oh Lord.
Is it letting you do the vacuum thing while you're in the box?
Oh God.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh yes, yes.
Whoa!
Are we
Yes.
playing something?
This is exactly what should happen if you're sitting inside something and also
God.
using an extremely weird physics
Oh,
object.
God.
Screenshot
Make
of
that the thumbnail right there. That's perfect.
Well, I got the rock bottom achievement.
Hooray!
Nice.
100% the intended way.
Mhm. Incredible.
And you didn't think you were gonna do this. The advanced tech.
Advanced vacuum box tech.
See, this is what imagination can get you.
Yep.
He can fall through the floor, but he can't figure out how to make a merry-go-round go.
He also could not figure out how to lob a ball with his hands.
I will state that this reminds me back in my tabletop role-playing days in college. We did a Shadowrun campaign with a character who had negative intelligence as a stat. And so
Incredible.
we
Is
determined
that really
that
what you want to be comparing yourself to?
we determined that what the concept was for that character was that they were too stupid to not know they couldn't do something. So just occasionally
Eventually,
we would have...
the universe stops trying to prove you wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you just have him roll, and like maybe he can build a nuclear reactor, or maybe he makes a cream pie, but like it just depends on how it bounces off his negative intelligence stat. And I feel
He'll
like
be
that...
happy regardless of what he gets.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you know, he'll just be happy with what he's produced, and that'll be that. And I think Patrick is maybe occupying that space. Maybe combining a vacuum with a box will allow him to go under the very world itself.
There was that
You'll
episode
think he's gone to the moon.
where he by gently encouraging a rock made it win a race. And he did not cheat.
You go,
So
that's
this
okay,
is
Rocky. You go at your own pace.
this is established that yes, he can just do that.
He has a good soul within him.
Yeah.
I just obliterated a rocket.
My
As
name
Well,
you-
that
is
rocket was
Corbett.
totally unregistered, so really Patrick's doing community service here. Whoever the fuck is building a nuclear weapon in their backyard, and don't say a rocket isn't a nuclear weapon, it's a rocket. That thing goes off wrong, everybody in the city dies.
Yeah, that doesn't make it nuclear. It's merely a weapon of mass destruction in some fashion.
Okay, fine, I'm willing to concede that point.
So there's a reset.
Sandy does all kinds of
great.
things. Sandy does all kinds of things. And,
Yeah, but Sandy has some idea what she's doing.
And she's Texan.
Just trying
This is
to
true.
make the screen a little less crowded so we can just enjoy insanity.
Oh, I've consumed my burrito.
There you
Good
go.
man.
Yay!
How do you afford your burrito lifestyle?
Very carefully.
How do you afford your burrito
I feel like there's an
lifestyle?
art exhibit and I've got a vacuum device, and that's just not going to be good for anybody.
You're going to deface Michelangelo's David.
I'd like to point out that Equinox Fracture asked, how did you manage to not use special moves in Justice League? They're the fun ones.
I apologize.
Or did you also
You
get rid of
should.
the
And I believe that
control
you're
panel?
sincere, but the damage is irreversible.
What did I lose?
The control panel for.
Yeah, I took that off just for
Okay. Yeah.
like a
If
little
you
bit.
press
more-
like if you press L or R, sometimes like you'll paint with these.
Oh, okay. No wait, you dropped it.
That's the control panel thing is pretty handy.
I'm trying to learn.
Going very well. I don't think
Yay!
Or if it's in your left hand, then it's the L.
Yeah, no, I'm gradually understanding things.
Vandalism, yay!
this is the thing that we were surprised that they let us kind of run wild with the paint. Obviously, like you're here in the art exhibit, and you know it makes sense here, but you can go wild.
you can leave the area with the paint, is what you're saying.
You'll see.
I feel like Patrick of all the characters would have a extremely. Oh wow! I was
Wait,
I was messing around when I said you were going to deface Michelangelo's David.
I'm like, did the force of the paint actually break open the statue? You're supposed to
At least you
chisel
have
it,
two-
but
Contrasting colors, Bob. Come on. Whoa. See that coming.
Christmas.
this is why I say I'm surprised they let us do this. They didn't have qualms with us, you know, shooting paint like red paint everywhere.
Green Michelangelo's David.
Rated M for mature.
Rated M for mature.
Oh, and it's different shades. Okay, that's cute.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's not just one or the other. Yeah, this is absolutely one of those moments where I'm like, it might help to have the sound on. I'll have to watch this later with sound.
We need to hear that sound.
Just trying to figure out how more I can be like a butterfly.
Become
Oh,
a beautiful butterfly, god damn you.
Also,
Butterflying hard enough. Get your head
Yeah.
in the game, man.
Butterfly.
I'm not weeping.
he just falls down.
He just died.
Roar like a dragon.
I am
But-
glad that you finally started using both hands.
It took me until the balloons to like truly understand it.
This is another audio thing. Like if you can't not listening, if you're here in the
Unfortunately, much
commentary
of us in the
booth, you can't
commentary
hear it.
box cannot.
Yeah, you can't hear the DJ sound. when you're-
But I can
Yeah.
imagine.
I was gonna say a lot of Equinox Fracture's commentary about the sound design just sounds really interesting, and I'm like, ooh, like actually having a it's again that whole first-hand conversation with people who are in charge of these things is always fascinating. And being like, oh, it's a real person, it's not just some unknown. That is terrible. Bob.
I'm not great at
No,
drawing
what
a
are you
Patrick,
doing?
okay?
You should be ashamed of this smiley
I'm
face.
becoming the Joker, alright? That's the best I got.
This is a bold new frontier for the Joker.
I gotta say, Gogglebob, I've heard about the latest Joker movie, and I don't think becoming the Joker worked out for him.
There's a rainbow crayon. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
The
pretty cool.
gay Joker. The Woker.
Equinox says Joker Squidward. I can see it. I hate that I can see it.
I think Squidward actually did become the Joker several times over at this point.
Oh, several times. Yes.
Oh my goodness, you just KO'd that wall.
I did not try to do that, it
Now
just
it's-
happened.
Now it's going places with you. You're on an adventure.
More mayonnaise. Yay.
You have to say a sword word.
Stupid fee, stupid faculty, stupid dream. They just refuse to visualize the artist within.
I feel like we should all strive to live our lives like we are characters in a physics game.
If
And
only.
in that vein,
That
I'd
is-
be
I don't
rolling down a hill
I don't think
tomorrow.
we survive.
That is
yeah.
why I only drive in the wrong lane at max speed.
I think that's a burnout game.
That too.
That's why I'm going to dip an entire frozen turkey into a large
No.
vat of boiling oil.
No.
Life
Yes!
is a physics game.
Don't die, Chromes.
Uh-oh, it's broken.
Or is it only becoming stronger?
Boy,
I
Squidward
genuinely
should be-
believe that Patrick is a man of culture. I feel like Patrick is a sort of like noble soul that could study a leaf for 18 hours and gain secrets of the universe unbeknownst to man.
I mean, we already determined he could encourage a rock to be much more than a rock. So the leaf thing seems within
Excuse
his
you,
wheelhouse.
his name was Rocky.
Yes.
My bad.
Ba-da-bum,
Workings
ba-da-bum.
of my mind are an enigma.
It's like this weird stock footage of milk spilling.
Just remembering that.
What,
and
doesn't
laughing.
that play in your mind all the time?
A little bit, yeah.
I actually get the old timey cartoon in Homer's mind.
I've got Bear on a unicycle.
Forget what he thought that was.
The ballet.
Oh yes, the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
I love legitimate theater.
Hi, Patrick.
Similar kinds of iconically dumb here.
Mm-hmm.
We our culture craves and lacks a good-hearted dimwit for the new generation.
Yes.
Our generation had Johnny Bravo. I don't know who Chrome's generation had.
I mean, our generation also had like varying levels of Homer and Patrick Star.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Homer.
If you press
Who
L
does?
or R, it'll stick the statue piece there.
Oh, is that how that works? Okay.
He's so
Uh,
dumb.
Learning.
No. You turned off the control panel to
Again,
remove visible clutter.
To enhance the viewing experience.
I wonder what's going to happen today.
Oh, it's got a bow. Oh.
I like egg-shaped things.
Some art isn't appreciated in its time. Or any time. Goddamn you, Gogglebob.
This has
There's this like
weird-
really fucking awful video by PragerU about how
No,
the
don't
quality
read
of
that here.
art has gone down, and like it shows a graph that just says quality and art as its axes, and it going downwards.
Okay, so we're done
It
thinking
doesn't
about
mean
that.
anything.
Yes, we are.
It
I
doesn't
just
mean
like the idea of
anything.
making a chart about art. Like, just the concept of
The
like,
concept of art.
down.
Art has gone down.
This
I'm
is
gonna
so
say it. This game's art.
Oh, it definitely is art.
I mean, how can a
Absolutely.
game where you're making art not be art? Let's put this box out of the way. There we go.
Sometimes art can tell us something ugly. But by that I mean specifically a game about making art that prescribes its art to specifically I would describe as making bad art.
So,
A game about making art should bring us freedom and joy.
so speedrunners were mentioned earlier. Like, do they make a masterpiece in like 10 seconds, and everyone's like, "Ooh, such good art."
I'm not
Don't know
sure if they do. Well, I think this is probably an easy number of points. because
Yeah,
technically
there's probably
you
easy
don't have
points to get from this.
You don't have to do anything. Like that was kind of our like. We weren't sure how to quantify art. Like,
You really did
Sure.
crack the code on that
Like
thing
the-
that's been a problem for 10,000 years.
so
Like
we
that's,
just said you can do whatever, and I think it's actually kind of funnier. Like if you submit a sculpture that is nothing and you get tens, you know, that's funnier than
Agreed.
you know.
like
they did-
regardless of what you do, it becomes funny unless you
Yeah.
somehow made something that was like representationalist, which would be nearly impossible with this object.
Although I mean I think we tried. You know.
Yeah.
Like, there were a lot of interesting submissions in our Discord internally where we like, I think one of the animators would make like a clown or something like that. You know, as you saw, I tried to recreate his little sculpture from the art episode or something like it, the closest I could with the tools we have here.
Yeah.
The little Squidward abstract.
It does give you enough space to actually like, even though, you know, it gives you just enough space to like actually have some sort of creative say in what you're making.
Like, so the whole university art thing was kind of like one of the things that I was in control of for a lot. But I was doing a lot of prototyping, and our programmer ended up making the final systems. And they're way better than anything I was prototyping in design.
Oh, that's kind of their job.
Yeah, that's their job. It's like, oh hey, like I know shaders, so that's how instead of my like really janky fake drawing system, like she's like, oh, actual drawing on a canvas. Like, okay, that makes more sense.
That makes more sense.
That's a good.
And then like, I prototype all kinds of different sculpture attempts, like I bubble sculpture. I had other things, but I think settling in on just enough creative, like again, the programmer coming up with like the attachment system, you know, with the abstract shapes, like was just enough, you know, to give you something to go off of, but lots of freedom. And again, like we're not quantifying it, so like you could submit a drawing of nothing, and Squidward will be really mad that you won anyway. The judges just really hate Squidward.
It's like the animation, like it's hard to approximate the weirdness of his interpretive dance that they were calling back to it with 3D models. The animators did a good job with that.
Yeah, come on, man. Flow like water. Get your head in the game.
But yeah, I think there was a speedrunner who spent like an entire week playing the game constantly for hours and hours. I don't think he likes the game. Like he speedruns other SpongeBob games. I'm totally blanking on his name. And after a week, he was just like, I'm done. He got the game under like half an hour.
Very impressive.
That's an 80% run. That's like getting to the closest thing this game has to an ending and reaching credits.
Achieving spiritual enlightenment.
That's got to be
and,
100%.
and I don't know. I think I haven't watched like the most recent run, so I don't know if they do the art show. I mean, it has cutscenes, but you can kind of skip through. But I feel like it's an easy, you know, win. But you're not doing other things at the same time. So I don't know.
It feels like there'd probably be a lot of routing potential, and like it would take a while for it to shake out like what is the fastest choice with these.
Equinox Fracture in the chat saying the latest one is probably 19 minutes. So it's like they're getting. I feel bad because like I also was in charge of the final part before the credits, the practice games, and there's some like the mini games there, like they're on a timer, so it's like that's like the worst thing for a speed run is waiting for a timer.
That you have to
Or
wait
an
until the
auto-
timer runs down.
Yeah, an auto scroller, all that stuff, and I was just like, oh no, you know, like because it's a score challenge, and like you know, if you replay it, you can get a higher score, but you know.
It does put like a hard limit on like how fast the game can ever possibly be.
Right. There's that that 4 minutes like baked in. Yeah. And we're trying to make it easier for our target demographic of 6, 7, 8-year-old that's like I guess
the lower bound of who could conceivably play this and understand it.
Right. This is for everybody, obviously, but we're our publisher specializes in making games for a younger audience.
And of course, like no matter what kind of game you make with this license, like no matter how much even if it for some reason wasn't aimed at that audience would absolutely want to play it.
Right.
What are you doing?
Like a little tree.
I see it. I see it.
Happy little accident.
Lana anyway.
It's sort of there.
It's like a little bonsai.
This game does I'm compelled by this just because it feels like it would be relaxing to play.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I just thought to myself, I could just color and stuff, and like, it does have good. I don't know. I'm sure there's a term for this, but like, it once I started using the crayons, I realized it kind of captures, like, basically squares, like pixels. So it's.
Yeah, like, I'm sure I'll see like at some point some sort of like someone alerting out like classic sprites out of this.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
it looks like that'd be
interrupt.
something you'd be able to do, not that difficult.
I think I did a Mario when I was testing him. So
Oh, there you go.
Yay.
Yeah, I almost thought he was going for
Art.
mushroom. This is one of those I can hear the voices even though I can't hear the voices.
Oh, 100%.
The earlier he had a comment to the degree of like something like "I am a man of taste" or something. It was just like I can't not hear that. Whatever the line was.
I can't believe I won. I can't believe you won either. Yes, I heard it. For the handful of episodes of this I've ever seen.
I visualize the artist within. You should try it.
we got the original voice cast from the show. Which
Yeah.
Also,
I'm actually
Wow.
never sure how Patrick's voice's last name is actually pronounced.
Patrick. Now you ask him, I'm like,
Yeah, it's one of those ones like I'm scared to pronounce it wrong because there's a lot of ways it could sound very bad.
But the Mrs. Puff, like I love her voice lines in this. Like she does a great job, like in the rage room. Like there's some really fun lines here.
The cliff.
I would be completely incapable of not rolling almost everywhere in this game. It looks so funny.
I mean,
all the
I found
time.
Sandy, so I gotta talk to Sandy.
As one does.
Why is there goop all over the place?
Maybe we're gonna find out.
Don't worry about it.
It's just Squirrel Appreciation Day. Here I am having a cleanup.
Oh, poor Sandy.
My latest experiment blew up and sprayed jelly all
I've never.
That's I created.
Your own actions. There you go.
This
There's
is the
your
consequences of my own actions.
Aw, shucks. Really, Patrick? You would do that for me?
I don't know how to shuck.
I don't need a sandwich.
And she's from Texas.
Mess for me.
It's true.
Take the day off.
See, not better.
So in the Japanese dub, do they give her an Osaka accent?
God.
I don't think we got a dub for this. I think they ran out of money. If you're wondering why the game is $40, it is because of these voice actors.
I was gonna say
Believe
the
that.
the costs.
I think compared to other games that they've had to that they've paid for voice acting, I don't think they realized what they were getting into when they were like, oh well, we have to get Paramount was like, you need to get the show's cast, and they are seasoned professionals, and
They know their worth.
they know their worth.
Yeah, man, seasoned professionals to say the least.
Something like season 12 professionals. Eh?
It's not like Tom Kenny like doesn't have any other jobs.
Bring back Tomcat and Bobcat.
My favorite, like, stupid bit of knowledge is the guy who voices Mr. Krabs also voices Lex Luthor.
I was about to
Yeah,
say,
Clancy
Tom
Brown's
Kenny,
got
a
a
pretty
great
famous,
voice.
or not Tom Kenny.
He's in a lot of Clancy Brown's a lot of things.
He has
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's got a
And I
great
was surprised
voice.
to find out that he was also Mr. Krabs. Like that's one of those the other way around kind of things. I've seen him in a ton of things, but to suddenly realize, oh, he also does voices.
Yeah, no, Mr. Krabs is
was-
definitely one of those, because usually he's doing the Lex Luthor voice, and you catch it immediately. But
I remember seeing this clip of some like Justice League direct-to-DVD movie where he played Lex Luthor, and like as Luthor goes progressively more insane, he starts laughing almost exactly like Mr. Krabs laughs.
what's Lex
I
Luthor
love
on
that.
ketamine?
Oh no. At the advice of counsel, I have no idea what Gogglebob is talking about.
I mean, it's always amazing, like when you realize when you know like Tom Kenny's history with SpongeBob, but then you're also like you've watched a lot of Mr. Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It bothers me a little bit that the purple goop gauge is filling up rather than emptying.
Oh damn, you're right.
It does
Worst game
feel
ever, 0 out of
slightly
10. Boycott.
Boy,
Demands a refund on Steam.
this
This
game
was
is woke.
a point of contention.
Can't even,
There
can't
was a
even play
fight.
as Patrick Starr anymore. because
Blood
of
was
woke.
spilled.
It's the cleanliness. It's you know.
It's a cleanometer.
On the
It's the you have cleaned this much as opposed to there's this much left.
I feel like if you finish this objective, the game should just like show you an ad for Power Wash Simulator.
So I feel so bad that this ended up like we were in the middle of the game, making the
Yeah.
game and I think early on, like the trailer for the Power Wash Simulator SpongeBob thing, like the DLC came out. This was originally not supposed to be a washing thing. This is supposed to be
Oh.
putting out fires.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see maybe the license holder having issues with that.
Right.
Or also putting out fires underwater is hard.
I mean, that would have
Wow.
just been the joke.
There
Okay.
are. I will tread carefully here, but I will say that yes, there is a lot of fire in the show, but they didn't want Patrick in a kids game to interact with fire. So,
Well, also having your underwater hospital on fire would probably not look well either.
well, originally it was
feel-
going to be like firehouse training thing. Where you were gonna grab like
see.
I had like
Classic comedy
cardboard.
premise.
I had made like cardboard cutouts of people, and like they would catch fire, and you had to put out the cardboard cutout.
Aw.
and we had a whole fire, and it's probably for the best that we didn't have fire propagation in this game because
I know exactly what I would do
I'm
the second
imagining
I
what that
found
would
out
do to
that
the
fire could
performance.
spread in this game.
I mean, I will say that I am impressed that how at least on stream how comparatively well it runs on Switch based on how I expected. Like my own copy, I have the PS5 version. So
Yeah.
but
The
this
PS5.
was a nightmare to optimize, as you can imagine. I mean, you might hear people online being like, "Oh, this game isn't optimized at all," and I'm just like, "You have no
You
idea."
fool.
Cool. Silence.
You have
Rube.
and maybe part of that is, you know,
Well, I'm clearly
we
not
like
playing
this-
it, but it looks like it runs quite well.
it probably runs the worst on Switch as you'd expect, but we had to make some
Given what the
concessions.
hardware is.
Yeah.
Did
I
you
think
just
that,
read
like,
a book?
ultimately,
the only
like-
steelbook version available, so that's why I got it.
I mean, this is probably where like a significant proportion of the child audience is going to actually play it.
Yeah.
That was
But-
we have to make it work on Switch.
Yeah, and what I would say, just looking at it, is that like ultimately, I'm seeing the occasional dips into the 20s, but ultimately this runs pretty well, and there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you might notice that the world that we ended up with.
Oh, there's some heavy culling going on as well.
There's tons of culling. Behind the scenes, everything's being turned, like the physics, the objects are being turned on and off as, probably very heavy-handedly on Switch. So if you walk away from something, it's frozen. But in some of our other, like in Justice League, like we kind of, the map was at least far enough apart that like if you're on one side of the map, you could turn off the other side of the map.
Yeah, like what else is going to happen there?
In this, the world, for gameplay reasons, we kind of kept it small enough that you could just kind of roll around, and not have to like drive a car to get somewhere else. But that's kind of not great for performance. But yeah, I think we managed to our programmers and people who were working on the optimization. I think they managed to pull off a miracle here.
I assume this game is doing some absolutely heroic stuff with low poly models for like anything past like what you're immediately near, which is beautiful. I love low poly models. It's
there are a lot of low detail like level models.
Yeah, level of detail. Yeah. You can sort of like see it. Like I bet like if you stared intently enough at the roller coaster way in the background next time Goggle Bob rotates the camera, and if you walk towards it very slowly, you could probably see when it loads the like higher level detail in, like in like you could do that in the recent Zelda games all the time. But like for actual gameplay purposes, it looked great.
Yeah, but especially like that's why I was saying I was surprised. Like I know a lot of people and like some of the reviews were like, "Oh, like don't get the Switch version," but then of course they make the Steelbook version only.
But I had to get the collector edition. I mean, come on. How often does the Patrick Star game come along?
But ultimately, like, it doesn't really, like, I think back to when you could get, like, you could see games on, like, other platforms, and they were just, totally unrecognizable, or they, like, had, like, severe cut downs to even exist. And, like, this is just, like, yeah, it runs a little worse.
There is one thing that's very noticeable. If they're side by side, like you may not notice it unless. Is there something that you don't see here that you might expect to see? There is something that is cut from the Switch version for graphics.
I'm kind of curious now.
Patrick has a more pronounced butt crack in the PlayStation 5.
Is it real-time ray tracing? I'll bet that's it. How dare you deprive us Nintendo fans of ray tracing? You absolute monster. 0 out of 10. Worst game ever.
The PlayStation 5 version does not have ray tracing either.
Oh, never mind.
Garbage.
10 out of 10. Best game ever. Except for its obvious inability to take advantage of superior power. I can't even
trace my rays.
I can't even pretend. I'm not gamer enough.
The Switch version does not have shadows.
Oh. Yeah. If you hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have noticed anything.
Real time, as we said, real time lighting effects are fool's
It's
gold.
so expensive. I mean, we need calculate the shadow. I mean, obviously there's lighting, but
we need fake real time shadows.
Yeah.
Right.
I appreciated that explosion. I want that to happen again.
I love
beat up Blood, I could drop a little Super Macho Man into
great.
your life.
I appreciate that, Ample Vigor. I saw it and I'm like, yeah, this is my shit.
This is I everywhere I can go, anywhere I go, I try to find more issues of the Nintendo Comics system because, near as I can tell, nobody bought it, and the people who did buy it were mostly small children who don't you know,
Did not bother to preserve it and then scan it in at super high quality 20 years later.
exactly.
I demand 300 DPI Nintendo Comic System.
I gotta say, I would absolutely read a boxing comic that's just Punch Out.
There's a dazzling issue of Game Boy, of the Game Boy comic book magazine where Super Mario teams up with USS Nimitz to take on Mario's enemies.
God,
Mario throws a 2,000-pound J-Dam at Tatanga at one point.
I have many questions, but I don't think I'm getting any
I
answers.
feel like that should be illegal.
It's unspeakably cool.
Imagine
Someone rigs up like a big metal frame with miniguns on it, like Vulcan cannons that fucking Mario uses. It is the most buck wild, insane Mario story I've ever seen or think I ever will.
I'm sorry, I'm just currently imagining like Mario and Luigi teaming up to do the Doomsday device.
Fuck yes.
That's a joke for Amblemaker, basically.
Oh
So I
god.
have to say, playing the explosion
Oh my
room
god.
here.
Oh god.
There we go. If I were still between the ages of probably 5 and 15, I don't think I would leave this area. Like
Like the explosion area.
the focused mayhem happening here is like, I understand the appeal. Like I
For
would
those who
definitely
wish to look.
get to a point where this was like I was the master of breaking glass.
Fucking shit, I found it.
For those who wish to look up the source of the joke I was just telling, the Doomsday device was the tandem finisher of the Road Warriors / Legion of Doom.
They snack on danger. They dine on death. I found the link to the archive.org collection that has Game Boy Magazine Volume 3, in which in which Mario fights what is by all appearances a homeless man having a psychotic break with all the force of the United States Navy.
Seems immoral.
I'm back somehow.
Yeah, Patrick goes back.
Somehow
You have
he
homework.
returned.
Yep, like Emperor Palpatine before me.
Yay.
Now I'm trying to think. Have you
Yay!
burped in the game yet?
Barb.
I think like once. I have to start using this GIF anyway.
Trying to think of the first game I played with a burp button, and it was probably Grand Theft Auto 2.
I want to say one of the Simpsons games.
I was assuming you were going to say Booger Man.
Yeah, no.
feel like
Suffice to
Booger
say,
Man
Booger Man does not
needs to
immediately
have it.
come to mind. No, I think the Simpsons Bart's Nightmare has a distinct burp that was like cleared the screen.
Aye.
Now I want a Butterfinger.
Dang, call it a
Nobody better
response
lay a finger on it.
conditioning. Like, just
Well,
mentioning
I
it.
also remember a few Halloweens ago having one and being really upset because they are not the same anymore, and I have completely derailed. So, thank you.
I'm gonna briefly say that I appreciate you having the Patrick attempting to build a stable costume.
Yes.
You might have noticed it spawns a hammer when you equip it.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not
no.
notice that.
Oh, no.
yes! Oh yes!
Uh-oh.
You could fill the world with hammers if you don't mind the game begging for
Sure
dear
is.
life.
I've seen a couple of videos online where people have noticed that, and
Made choices based on it.
I gotta
one,
say,
like,
I know it's like, a resource and like work saving technique, but I love fake video game crowds from far away. I've always loved them.
But
I
that's
love
like
them
how this looks
in-
in the show.
Yeah, no, it looks exactly like
That
it
is
does
how
in
they're
the
drawn
show.
on the show.
Yeah, but like also like I just love that like as a detail you can notice from time to time. I love the Coliseum and Skies of Arcadia with a bunch of paper cutouts cheering for the guy to murder you. I love any given sports game where like it's really like shadowy and like there's a million like super low poly characters cheering like very generically. It's just good. Great.
Very generically.
It's funny. My husband was he loaded up Sharp FE recently, and that has like a very interesting
nice.
way of dealing with crowds. You know,
Oh,
with
yeah.
all of the silhouette, you know, people that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think really lends a unique visual style to it. Although I totally know it's there for performance. Yeah.
I feel like, you know,
They
like
were able to
random
engineer the game's art design around it.
I feel like we lose something every time like the technology gets like stupidly better and like all of a sudden it's possible to simulate like a million cheering fans. Because some of those like shortcuts are just the funniest thing to me, and I miss them when they're not there.
You missed the big blur of crowd.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Little cardboard mans.
Yeah, I think I was like this weekend I was playing a Fortnite festival and they have like a giant, you know, crowd in the background and just like it's the same repeated 3 models of people just kind of cheering.
With
Same
the power of
three-
Unreal.
The same 3 dudes. We will call them Rubik's dudes.
Rubik the Amazing Dude.
Rubik the Amazing. I would totally have watched Rubik the Amazing Dude. Oh, and this. Sorry, I also found the sickest print ad for a Game Boy game of all time.
Please
It is
share.
Fist of the North Star, 10 Big Brawls for the King of the Universe.
Oh my
I'm
god,
so
that
glad
sounds
that they
amazing.
gave it that name. Just by like, that's the kind of name that normally gets localized out because it's deranged sounding in English.
Huh?
I just remember as a child staring at this ad for what seemed like 1,000 hours trying to tease out the deep mysteries contained within. What I would tell that young boy is that he was right to do this. That this was the wisest possible use of his time and attention.
There's no better thing to be doing when you are I don't know, 8, 7, somewhere in that general range.
Yeah, that was about 8 years old. Just staring at Kenshiro about to fight Rao, and it's just, yeah, this is
I
correct.
had
You-
last
you
battle. I had to settle for Arzak.
Oh my god.
Shameful.
Except no substitutes.
No, there is no Kenshiro is not mocked.
I love that replaced like you punch someone and they explode into a million tiny meat pieces with you punch someone and they just fly off the screen.
Yes.
Also, that's based off the part of Fist of the North Star that consensus I don't think anyone likes. So
Which part is that?
it's Fist of the North Star Part 2.
Oh,
Fist of
yes.
the North Star 2.
When
Adult
he's-
Art and Lynn.
Yeah, but Fist of the North Star Part 2 has one of the sickest opening themes of all time.
Yeah, and that Genesis game doesn't have it.
Oh, this is terrible.
That is terrible.
No, but Fist of the North Star 2 also... Wait, yeah, no, it has like the part of Fist of the North Star 2 where you don't have Ein or... Oh, God, no, all the good stuff is just not in it.
Yeah, it's the unfun part. Oh my god.
What have you done to Patrick?
Why? I don't
Nothing
think
Patrick didn't want to do.
Never mind. Patrick.
Free me, he
Oh,
cries.
you
Free
should grab,
me.
you grab the things on the table.
Wait, can you put on the Carnival Barker hat?
Yes.
Can you become Carnival Barker Patrick?
But there's another reference also.
Uh-oh. No, you gotta do it. The wrong table, man. Wow.
Eventually,
Us more
eventually
purple goop
Gangabon
on
will
a
figure out
flame.
what
Was
he's
that
doing.
also originally on fire?
So glad that you can wear the hat and the.
So good.
He
All right,
nailed it to his
you have
forehead.
finally obtained your final form as Carnival Barker. No! You've
No.
degraded yourself down to binoculars, Patrick. Go back to Carnival Barker.
Oh no!
Oh,
Unsuit,
Lord.
unsuit.
I hate you. Oh my God!
that's
Never mind. I
beautiful.
love it. I love it now. I hated it until a second ago, but now I love it.
That's nightmare fuel.
Love it.
Hyper realistic eyes.
It would not be a proper set of like it would not have the full breadth of SpongeBob jokes if it wasn't possible for there to just be like an arbitrary bit of human just floating around in there. I'm sure the hand is in there somewhere as well.
We couldn't really get it in, but I really wanted Nosferatu to show up at some point.
Oh man, that would have been so good.
Perfect.
I even had like before, like now, like the dance thing is very automatic. Like you step on the dance stage and like the lights turn out and it's dark and all that stuff. I wanted like a giant light switch and like but it was fiddly. It was just it got in the way. But for a while there was like just this light switch and it turned off everything, and that was like cool. But then we'd have to figure out how to make the rest of the game look good at night.
It would have introduced too many problems. Sadly.
It's too many problems.
We're going to throw Patrick Star out of the plane.
I feel like that's what Patrick would have wanted. Also, like I
Already
don't believe there is any force on Earth capable of killing Patrick. It is
an
yet
unstoppable force.
It is yet to like become clear if that is a blessing or a curse for Patrick. I feel like if he was smarter, it would be a curse, but as he is, it's a blessing.
Okay, yes, we have an umbrella. That's clearly the proper choice.
I feel like you could be going faster, Goggle Bob, and your lack of speed enrages me.
Oops,
You can open and close
drop
it.
my umbrella.
No, you can open and close it.
You would know this
it's
if you
done
hadn't
now.
turned off the tooltips. You absolute monster.
Can you land on the target? Oh.
Oh dear, you just dropped the umbrella.
It reminds me of like when I was playing many years ago, the original Driver, and I think a friend was watching me, and they were like, like, and that's a sort of like it has like the day-night cycle, so you can drive around. I think it was Miami at night. PS1, original game. And I think they were like, but you'd think it would be easier for you to like drive, like you wouldn't be spotted by the cops or whatever if you turned off your lights. And I was just like, I don't know if you can do that. And then I slammed into like a wall and I turned off, I broke the lights. So problem solved.
Yay.
Also, Pete, you might want to reload. You seem to be a little further delayed than some of us.
I didn't
I don't think
say
that's going to change.
anything. So I don't know what you're basing this off of.
No,
Earlier when you were
all of your
commenting on
responses.
parachuting.
the timing. Yeah.
That's normal for me. I'm just
It-
grown used to it.
That's fair.
At this point, I no longer even apologize for it. I've just decided to own it and be an asshole about it.
Well, I'm not accusing you of otherwise. I'm just commenting.
I'm accusing Beat of being an asshole.
I feel like Fanboy is making the correct decisions.
Hey, Beat, there's a new way for you to play Vector Man.
No way. How?
It's being added to the Switch expansion pack. That's all.
Oh, I don't have that.
Oh, are they expanding the Genesis
Okay.
selection? Because it seems like it's been a while since they did that.
Yeah, dropping 3 more ones. Toe Jam and Earl 2, Vector Man, and Mercs.
Woo.
Huh.
Toe
As
Jam and
somebody
Earl
who
2,
beat
the
Vector
people were
Man
clamoring.
multiple times on the original Genesis as a child, I feel no strong urge to return to it. Granted, I also had one of those turbo controllers which let you rapid fire, which probably made the game playable, enjoyable. Even I liked it a lot.
Vectorman.
Victor Man.
Torment.
Perhaps this is his torment.
Oh, somehow I like automatically ended that.
I think I know what happened.
It's
This
okay.
a very
Nothing was
programmery
lost.
thing. Yeah. There are certain things that are like just because you can land anywhere. Like we're just doing a ground check and then ignoring certain things. But yeah, I think you brought something with you and stepped on it.
You brought
It was
something.
like
You can't take it with you.
anyway, I don't think we're doing the ground check or the ignore check. But
I'm not as good with a parachute as I am with an umbrella.
Cowardice.
Just gonna throw Patrick into the road here.
now I wish I kept more of the air streams.
Oh dear.
It's like take 2. Or take 3, I guess.
Sandy's gonna tell you that you can do better, and she's right to tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should be insulted by getting dissed by Sandy, but I would feel a little bit bad.
Sandy is way too friendly to, like, diss Patrick. Like, she understands. Patrick's got a board nailed to his head.
But I will also say that just because we give you a certain tool does not mean it's the only tool you can use.
Use your creativity.
Hammer it is!
Hammer, hamburger.
Hamburger.
Yeah, I would
Burger.
say it would be unlikely that Patrick would not use a hamburger as a choice. Where's it go? Oh, totally missed that. Yeah, well, Patrick, time to die. Watch as the amusement park loads as you land on it. I think I can do better.
Well, I think it's time for some Guilty Gear. Have fun with the rest.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Enjoy, Keith.
I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night.
Have a good night.
See
Enjoy
you.
sleep.
Maybe you will bring a Guilty Gear.
I'm not going anywhere. You guys are
Good.
stuck with me.
Not once I'm done.
Oh, was that a threat? Or was that a promise?
Fucking promise.
Wait. Oh. I just have floored again.
Oh no, you stepped on the thing. the pile of parachutes is
The pile of
your
parachutes.
demise.
This volatile pile of parachutes.
I mean, they always tell you when you're skydiving not to step on the pile of parachutes. Like, that's like day one.
It's
and I
just bad
apologize.
practice, man. This is education.
I'm going to step on the pile
You
of
can
parachutes on
burp them out
purpose.
of the way. You can just, you know.
Okay, I'm liking this better than parachutes. Parachutes are for losers. I did skydiving once. I did not care for it.
That's
You know,
cool.
I've never been skydiving, even though I've had multiple people invite me.
That's interesting. You know, I went
Fix that.
skydiving, and my biggest problem was that, like, due to what are we gonna say, G-forces? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the straps for the parachute pulled on my legs so hard that, like, I seriously thought, like, my hips were going to snap off. Like,
That's pretty normal.
Seems bad.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's normal, but it's just kind of like, well, that was unpleasant.
My sister skydived a bunch of times, and then a bunch of
Doesn't
times
surprise
more
me.
because she was in the military as a army doctor. They make you do all that training, but there was
Wow.
also one memorable moment when I was in college, and I was just sort of like standing next to this girl like before class started, and we just started talking, and she was all of a sudden like inviting me to skydive, and I was like, no, that's fine. And then like
That
a
escalated
week
quickly.
later, I was just vaguely remembering it and went, oh, she was hitting on me. And I totally dropped the ball. Well, win some, you lose some.
I could have totally been falling out of a plane right now.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that. Could do that.
Wanna go again?
I've hurt myself in dumber ways.
Healed like an onion.
Messy when you're ready.
I've never
wait,
been
I-
invited to do cool stuff.
Part of yours,
You're young. It'll happen.
Yeah. You're about to head off to college. It'll happen a lot there.
Yeah.
Do anything.
Man, now I'm sad that Meatloaf died in the dumbest way imaginable.
Don't go getting sad about Meatloaf.
I can't not be sad about Meatloaf dying. He was my dad's favorite singer, and as such, he holds a significant chunk of my heart too.
Aw. Wait, I have the umbrella and the jetpack simultaneously? Alright.
Yes.
And if you press the button, it'll activate one and deactivate the other.
That's cool.
That's what I just learned as I like scooted away from the hoop I was trying to go through. Well, it should be good for a final landing bit. Oops. May have hit a flying mine. Why would Sandy put these out here?
Why wouldn't she?
She knows Patrick's got brain problems.
Yeah, but she also like wants to challenge people so they can be better, which probably not the best from a philosophical or psychological standpoint, but very much a her move. Say it shows knowledge of the character is what I'm saying.
Oh no, I think
Maybe she designed this for
I believe in you.
herself.
I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
You believed in me. It was because of that.
I was all set to just start screaming at you when you fucked it up. I had a plan, and you robbed me of that. Now I'm angry for reasons I can't justify.
Barely articulates.
You didn't
You've
lose
trolled
like
me
you usually
perfectly.
do.
Because when
I
you
got
troll
Particle
someone
Boy.
right, they are absolutely furious at you, but they know if they say why they're furious, they'll sound insane.
Like it's true trolling is making someone mad for reasons they know are completely unjustified.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be right back.
No, that's not right. Patrick, I don't think that's how you fly a plane. Also, Patrick is one of those characters that the more clothes they put on, the more it causes problems.
Just makes him look more off-putting.
There's a weird duck waddling around in the seat.
He's having a good time.
The tiny
Doesn't everyone fly a plane like this?
duh.
How I fly planes.
Somehow that impacted things.
Me, known for my plane flying. Wow. For a second, I thought the grab command simply said crash, and that made perfect sense to me.
Danger Cliff. Well.
That won't stop me because I can't read. Wait, wrong cartoon.
Somehow falling off the cliff put me back up on top of the cliff. It makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense.
Do it. Cliff time.
Do
Yay.
it
Cliff
You coward.
Yay.
Cliff time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do appreciate that the delivery tasks do remind me of old school Grand Theft Auto, or possibly recent Grand Theft Auto. It's been a while since I played those games.
There's no such thing as recent Grand Theft Auto, sir. The last one came out in 2013.
That is so sad.
Hey, we got a new one on the horizon.
Yeah, finally allegedly coming out 12 years after its predecessor.
I mean, there was Grand Theft Auto, online? I think that made all the money
that's
that
been
ever existed.
updated, but it's not really different.
Right. But it makes them a lot of money, so.
Oh yeah, it makes a ton of money, so it's impossible to say if it's bad or Sorry, that wasn't meant to be a dig at you. It's just couldn't resist the joke because I'm broken.
Hey, buddy, can you lend me a hand?
But yeah, the fast food delivery was trying to like kind of recreate that, you know.
It's sad to see it
Grand
go,
Theft
so
Auto
I'm glad to see
Green
someone
Factory.
take that up.
Is Patrick now wearing a jaunty little sailor hat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
he's supposed to be Barnacle Boy.
Ah,
R.I.P. Tim Conway. This is what happens when you deliberately cast old people and then your cartoon goes on for 20 years longer than anyone imagined. The iconic sound of Ernest Borgnine screaming evil. Evil!
This ended up being a later edition after we had kind of gotten the script approved, but we were like, oh, we want more physics. We need more. I think it might even been
More physics,
like-
more
like-
physics.
more physics, more physics.
more physics.
Teeth.
I'm just imagining like the entire team just banging their fists on a table, screaming, "More physics! More physics!"
So that's why there's no like story based around this. It's just SpongeBob
Yeah.
going, "Can you help me? Help me break all these boxes." That's
I mean,
Just-
Listen, some of SpongeBob's like needs and desires are mysterious, and that's fine.
SpongeBob exists on
We'll
a
make an
level
episode
of
later
intelligence that's difficult for us mere mortals to understand.
I think it's befitting of like there's an early episode where like Squidward just like starts screaming at SpongeBob and Patrick because they're just doing complete complete nonsense game in their backyards. He's just like, "What are you doing?" And they just both respond, "We don't know."
All right,
Is
so
it the one with the box, or is that a different one?
I think that's a different one.
let's
The
try to
box, they
figure
fully
out
know what they're doing.
the Beavis and Butthead to SpongeBob pipeline.
I feel like it's a very important question to ask, like which Beavis and Butthead antics SpongeBob and Patrick could do and which they wouldn't.
I'm just now considering the connection between what is the inspiration for King of the Hill, the neighbor Tom Anderson or something?
Tom Anderson, yeah.
I'm thinking of the connection between him and Squidward, and like it's all coming together.
Oh yeah. But like,
Now I'm just imagining Squidward being like traumatized from the war.
I'm just imagining like SpongeBob and Patrick like doing the music video segments of Beavis and Butthead where they're just like sitting on a couch narking at whatever's on TV. But I cannot imagine, this is a good thing, I cannot imagine SpongeBob and Patrick playing frog baseball.
It's true. They
Only a best friend can help me with.
I was gonna say I don't know that they would go nasty with the commentary so much as accidentally wholesome.
Yeah,
that happens a lot on Beavis and Butthead too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
Not
Beavis-
something I have experience with.
We shotgunned a bunch of episodes not long ago, Fanboy and I.
There's a handful of there's just times in Beavis and Butthead where it's just like, oh, that's just a normal thing to say. That's fine. That's normal.
I mean, it's always amusing
Or
on the
they'll
Beavis
have,
and
like-
Butthead episodes where they just like something that they're watching and they're into it.
It's always fun when they just actually like something. But it's also always funny that like Beavis and Butthead not liking something is not like a surefire indicator that it's bad. It's an indicator of their weird taste.
Yeah.
But also like sometimes they'll see something like fucking Who Was in My Bed by Butthole Surfers and they'll just go nuts. Sing my bed.
I believe I said that Beavis has purity soul, but also no self-actualization, meaning he is pushed around by Butthead very easily.
There is an episode of Beavis and Butthead where Butthead, like, it does the It's a Wonderful Life thing with Butthead, and Beavis's best friend is like the fucking kid in the winger shirt, and they're like volunteering at a soup kitchen because that's the person who can successfully push Beavis into doing things in that world.
Yeah. Like, of the two, Butthead has cruelty. Beavis does not have cruelty, but he also does not have the ability to resist a peer pressure of any sort.
Beavis just sort of does things.
And yeah, so yeah, I'm seeing a
In
connection.
conclusion, I believe that SpongeBob and Patrick would laugh at being addressed as Buford and Bernardo.
They absolutely would.
Yeah, basically just SpongeBob is kind where Butthead is cruel, and that's mainly the main change.
Yeah.
Beavis would have a good time spending time with SpongeBob. Which is why I'm just remembering the joke of like the two of them imagining having families from the reboot. Like the two of them are imagining having families. Beavis is imagining himself as immensely buff and having 3 children named like Butthead Jr., Butthead Threenior, and Butthead Fournier. And that is not the order they were born in. And the end of his fantasy is like his child's teacher comes to his house to say that she wants to have sex with him. Beavis's fantasy is that he has 3 children who all want to play Legos with him. And then Butthead comes over and his children and Butthead start beating him and his children up. It's the Buttheads.
Speaking of go for a hot second, I had a coworker tell me that his birthday's coming up, so his wife was talking about doing something for his birthday.
Mhm.
And apparently his thought process is like, yeah, we can go to Vegas. And hers was, how about we go to Legoland? And I was like, well, if you don't want to go to Legoland with your wife, I will.
I will absolutely go to Legoland with your wife.
Exactly.
My wife actually went to Vegas for my birthday a few years back, I think right before COVID hit. But like, she has been invited by my family to the local Legoland many times. And she always just says, no, I'm busy that day. And they say, I haven't said a day yet. And she's like, I don't care.
I will be busy.
I will find
I will
something
make it a
to busy
point to be
myself.
busy. Should have gone to Glove World.
Yeah.
I do have to admit, Glove World has been hard to beat on this. Like, there's a lot going on there that I appreciate.
Glove World is very cool.
I'm always horrified by the concept of like when they introduced that in the cartoon. It's like, okay, they've gone to Glove World. That's a mind-bogglingly lame concept that they're extremely excited about. That's funny. Then one of them pulls out like a Pez dispenser in the shape of a glove that distributes candy in the shape of a glove, and we are informed that it is in fact glove flavored.
Smell the glove.
Latex
glove
allergy?
flavored.
Or something like that.
Well, you know, pollution.
I
mean,
Lakupa, what was
the
if you
rock
don't
bottom
mind,
episode, actually.
if you don't mind my asking, what was your like title in this game? Like, what are you credited as?
It's just game designer. You brought it up when we started.
Oh, I wasn't
Technically-
here right at the very
yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
I apologize.
Beating a set. I think technically I'm actually mid-level game designer, like as in like higher than junior, not quite senior.
Ironic,
But I
because
joke.
you're anything
But I
mid.
but I joke. Yeah. I think that, like some people are like, oh, they call you mid, But I joke that I design the middle of the levels.
Damn, that's often the best part of a level.
That's where you really get to experience everything that you get to learn and grow as a person from having figured out these game mechanics.
Look, the simple fact of the matter is everybody thinks about like the beginning and end of the level as the most important parts, but I've always thought the middle of the level is where things really are happening. Because that's the part that like sets the tone. That's the part where like all the cool stuff is happening. The beginning is just beginning, at the ending is just ending.
I'm learning.
I'm
The
just
ending
saying
is just
shit.
ending is excellent advice.
I'd never have guessed.
Lukupo, you have not been on enough of these streams to know this, but like I start drinking heavily at the midpoint of every single one.
Mid-level design begins drinking.
Not exactly the mid-level, the middle of the level. Yes, exactly. Grab more. Grab more.
But
Grab more.
I love the horror on his face.
Grab more.
No, it's joy.
Turn him around. I need to see the horror / joy.
Turn her around.
Pop the balloon.
Yay!
Man, you guys really did think of everything.
We stole a balloon.
I know this probably wasn't what you were going for, but every time I see Patrick sitting in the box with that big dopey grin on his face, I think of Kelvin and Hobbes and their time machine / transmogrifier.
I don't think it's what we're not. I don't think it's not.
It's not
Not
against
what
the
we're going
spirit of
for.
what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely not. No, it's there and it's valid. I appreciate
Oh. I've never read Calvin and Hobbes. I didn't know that was actually what it was called.
it. I believe it's also something else when it's upside down. On its side it's duplicated. When it's upside down, it's a transmogrifier.
Yeah, because
Chrome's
You should see if you can get a hold of
don't-
that. I think you would
I
appreciate
don't
it.
often tell like you I generally don't believe in like forcing the youth to experience my culture, but you should absolutely read Calvin and Hobbes. I believe the whole thing's just online. Let me check.
As a sequential art
harmless.
appreciator, I think you would have a good time with it.
yeah,
Sequential
because
art
like
appreciation.
Oh shit,
Like-
yeah, the entire like series is just online in webcomic form, and it just
You'll finally understand the source of all those bumper stickers.
runs. It just
Oh,
like
that-
repeats.
that
it just
Calvin
repeats
always
every
peeing
10
on
years. That's
everything.
hilarious. I'm going to just
like I've,
Probes, I'm just
I've
going to throw this link in the chat, and you can do with it what you will.
Like I'm sorry, I'm stuttering right now.
You're good.
I've seen pages of it online,
Mhm.
but most of my information from it comes from Power Up parodying it.
That's fine. A completely valid. Look, okay. So Power Up, like taking on Dilbert and making him Gamer Dilbert, was a great for one, but two,
Noted, Gilbert.
absolutely a fantastic way to just drive an iron spike into Scott Adams' dark heart of evil. Right? Calvin
Isn't he
and
on
Hobbes
that?
appearing in Gamer Dilbert feels much more just like we love you, Bill Watterson, and we're happy that you're doing what you want to do.
Bill Watterson, the one person to take I do not want merchandise of my comic and put their money where their mouth was.
Yeah, Bill Watterson has more, I guess, integrity in his pinky finger than every other major artist has had in their entire body, because he didn't just not accept lucrative licensing deals. He literally said, "Fuck you, I will just quit," and then nobody gets any money. Many times.
This does have me like imagining the nightmare concept of what if there was a Gasoline Alley video game?
Oh God.
And I'm not ready to imagine it, but
Just
it
reskin
is
Patrick
attempting to
Star as
breach the
Gasoline
corners of my mind.
But yeah, no, there will never be a Calvin and Hobbes movie. There will never, ever be a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon like there was Peanuts and Garfield, everything else, simply because Watterson looked
There
at
was a
literally
horrible Hagar, the horrible
money.
pilot.
Because Watterson looked at literally all the money in the world and said, "Fuck off, nerd."
Time to go back and watch the Little Abner musical.
Wow.
So,
It's
so yeah,
all
Calvin
there.
and Hobbes. So yeah, Calvin and Hobbes will only ever exist as Calvin and Hobbes, nothing else. And that was such a power move. I can't not like absolutely fucking love it. Also, it's a really fucking good comic, and Watterson's a really incredible artist. So I believe
You
you will
didn't
enjoy.
push it longer than it needed to be.
Nope, he went exactly 10 years, and then he just stopped and said,
And
"No,
10
that was it.
years
I'm
is
done."
Quite a long time.
10 years is a very long time, but like compared to like a bunch of other long runners, it's almost nothing.
I will once again point out Gasoline Alley, a comic that my grandfather enjoyed as a child in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Still ongoing.
Wow.
Never ever we're gonna stop.
Now the question is,
God, how long has the Cats and Jammer Kids been running?
will our grandchildren be saying this about SpongeBob when they're playing their SpongeBob on the PlayStation 32?
Yes.
I believe
Oh,
they will refer
our
to it
grandchildren
as-
are not living to the PlayStation 32. That is not how fast consoles come out.
There'll be a brief run where they just release like 12 PlayStations in a row. Like they're really trying for like the
Just iPhone style for some reason.
Okay, the length of time between the PS2 and PS3 was 6 years.
We're now at more like 7 years in general.
Let's see, between PS3 and PS4 was about 7 years, and PS4 to PS5.
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. So every 7 years, basically. Seems like a reasonable estimate.
I mean that we would expect the PlayStation 32 in 27 times 7 years. Okay,
Again,
the Cats and Jammer Kids ran from 1914 to 2006.
1914.
Wow. What is it?
The Cats and Jammer Kids. It also managed to split into 2 entirely separate comics due to like an extremely strange copyright case. If you've never looked that up. Very strange.
I assure you, I have not looked that up.
What a coward.
Only 3 years before My Man Jeeves was released in like 1917.
Mm-hmm. If you want real old comic strips, you started going into like Little Nemo. I think that's the late 1890s.
Wow.
I gotta ask, is there like
1905?
Is there like any like purpose to sitting in the chair other than you can sit in the chair? Because
Why would you not want to sit in the chair?
No, I get it. I
guess
absolutely get it. I am down with sitting in the chair. I'm just like, does it do anything after a while, or is it just you can be in the chair and that's cool?
You're in the
From
chair.
From what I have seen,
That's all I
sitting in a
need.
chair interacts very strangely with physics objects.
If we didn't set it to ignore all the things in the.
I just appreciate the
Did
phrase.
he just
ignore all the
eat
things.
that cup? He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very
he's
Why
a
would
good
you think he
boy.
would discriminate on that basis?
I had to like I was a little aggressive early on, being like, oh, like eating bolts and nuts and stuff like that, and Paramount said no, so you know.
just had to settle for him occasionally eating like
and I'm just
drink cups.
Meanwhile, I'm like, there's an episode, a recent episode of SpongeBob where he's like grabbing like they're in the dump and he's like grabbing a diaper and pouring glue on top of it and saying like, "Ooh, this is-" and I'm just like,
I'm just gonna eat
okay.
that.
Yeah,
That's genuinely disgusting, though. Like eating nuts and bolts is funny. Eating that is horrifying.
Yeah.
Like someone sat down with the intention of like, what's the grossest thing I can make him eat?
Yeah.
Well, there is this is again trying to tread carefully with the brand.
You do
but-
not. I do not want you to feel like encouraged or forced, or like put on the spot to say anything that would threaten your job or your like future work prospects. Like just throwing that out there. If you feel like you have to thread the needle super carefully, you can just not. You could just say no. I'm not saying that. Screw you guys. We don't deserve it. We haven't earned it.
As an observer from the outside, all I can guess is that there's always some give and take with the license holders, but they always win.
Yeah.
They do usually win. I'd say there's different expectations from different license holders too, but
Something.
Yeah, I've certainly heard of more lenient ones. I
Paramount
remember.
I was just saying, Paramount is a very large organization, and
So
has a lot
wow,
of people.
Gogglebob, you just deleted that kid.
Something.
I remember.
Strings.
I remember once hearing about there was a SpongeBob game from the era from around when the Wii launched that at one point in development they had pitched it having like, because the Wii had just launched and it was going to be on that, they were like, oh well, what if it had sort of like a rail shooter light gun shooter mode? And like the way that they described it was they didn't say no, but trying to put it in and being told no afterwards presented too much risk, so we didn't.
Reminded of
like fire.
like fire, exactly. Reminded of an ancient Game Hut video where he was talking about making Mickey Mania, and he and his team had basically put together a system that could basically run Doom in full screen on the Sega Genesis. Traveler's Tales was always very good at making like machines that had no right doing insane technical stuff do insane technical stuff.
Making the Motorola 68,000 do things.
Yeah, like that was like every time they were put on something, they would make it do things that you would be like, that shouldn't be possible, and there it was. But the the video that he showed off years and years after the fact was basically Mickey running around a Doom map essentially with a minigun, just like absolutely shredding enemies. And he's like, well, that was the demo we put together because we thought it was funny. They didn't think it was very funny.
Always got to be careful about what you put in demos you intend to show to a license holder.
Well, lucky for you, you're here just in time for something even better. I'm hosting a race to help
Finish
And then
lines.
silence.
the dangers of high-speed boating. Come to think of it, you could use a brush up on your boating skills. It's been quite some time since you obtained your
Oh, so I have to ask,
Would you like to participate?
Lakupo, were you the SpongeBob expert on the staff, or is there somebody more like able to
think there
immediately
were-
recall?
I think there are people on the staff that were more well versed than I was, but
Just waiting
Yeah,
to see
again-
someone in the
again,
credits
like,
labeled. Okay.
I'm very more familiar with older SpongeBob, like the first 3 seasons or whatever was on the DVD that we would play at Toys R Us.
We're about the same age, so that makes sense. I think. I don't actually know how old you are.
Like my favorite, episode is like the one where he eats the onion sundae and Patrick is like, look at it,
Some roast beef, some chicken, a pizza.
And
No, I
that's
mean
an
just this
old-
morning.
and that's an older episode. So I maybe a lot of newer episodes that I'm less familiar with. That I think people.
That's the episode that like.
But we crowdsourced a lot of like the Easter eggs to be like, oh, like what would we like to get into the game, you know?
What would the kids growing up with it now recognize?
But something I really wanted, and again, we kind of had to put the kibosh on it when Fire was removed, was to have a computer somewhere where you just like smash the button and then it catches fire. But you know, that doesn't work if you can't have fire.
Yes, no fire, no smashing.
Just like I'm just remembering that episode because I think the Sunday episode because I think that's the one that like Patrick enters the episode because he's just like SpongeBob just sees this giant pink object on a like bench and he's just like, oh, there's a pile of what's next? There's a pile of chewing gum on this bench, and Patrick just like emerges, like just unfurls into being like a living creature, and it's like, what the fuck? How is that how you entered the episode?
Look at it.
Screaming Red Skull says,
I think there's a lot more like of that sort of weirdness in the early episodes than like I think things got a little bit more
you get the advantage
crystallized. I could say some things have been flanderized a little bit in newer.
It's not yet become iconic. It can be many things, and then once it becomes popular, it has to be one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like obviously we have the voice actor for Plankton who also does My Leg, you know, so we had him record My Leg, but early SpongeBob, lots of people say My Leg. Current SpongeBob, only Fred can say and say that, and we didn't have a Fred model. We didn't have time to make one, so the porta potties by the airfield, if you burp them or bump into them somehow, there's a like 1 in 10 chance that Fred will be in there, and that was like the only way we could get that line to play and like have them approve it, you know, because currently only Fred says My Leg.
This is my opinion and not the opinion of anyone involved with this game, but it's so much less fun when like only one person can say it, because part of the reason it was funny was that it was random and totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
But then Fred becomes a character, and then like, now this episode's devoted to Fred, and
that is an entire episode about him like breaking his leg over and over.
Screaming Red Skull said in the chat, the sound of Patrick screaming, "Look at it," has been stuck in my head for years. And I responded with my very favorite Patrick line, which is, "My name's not Rick."
My name's Rick.
My ridiculous Patrick line is, I think they're at like a museum or something, and it's just they're told not to touch anything. Just touch.
Do I have to follow you all day?
Touch. That is absolutely like, that just comes out of me sometimes.
And now it only hurts when you touch it. Ah!
I don't.
Good with the cold shoulder there.
I don't know if I have a favorite SpongeBob episode, but there's one that really sticks with me because of the gross out humor.
Oh Lord.
Go on.
It's the one where like SpongeBob gets a splinter.
Oh good Lord. I know that one by reputation. Like, I grew up seeing only the first 3 seasons. To me, that's all the show is.
And I remember, and it's like I remember it because they would like, because it would eventually get like really infected, and then it would have one of those really detailed close-ups. It looked really bad, and it was like, oh my god.
I mean, it's funny you talk about that's all the show was, because I was reviewing Ren and Stimpy recently, and
Oh God.
well, I was looking at the episodes that I, so to speak, knew by heart, and their actual like air dates and how frequently or infrequently they aired. And it's just funny because there are certain episodes that I swear I saw 10,000 times in reruns, and it was maybe just a period of like 6 months, possibly. that
There
would
is
have
that period
occurred.
where the show only has like 6 episodes.
Right, and that's the thing, is that period in my mind was my entire childhood, but it really only was like 6 months total. And
There
it's
is like it is extremely funny that that show's entire saga would be like borne out by the fact that the first episode, like the first week, they premiere an episode. Second week, second episode is not finished. They run the first episode again. And that will kind of just be the way that the story runs under like famous big ol' air quotes alleged pedophile John K.
Do we even have to say alleged? I mean, like,
We're not a news organization, so probably not.
okay.
You know,
I get that
just
we're like
trying to keep
covering
ourselves
our
legally
we're just
safe.
covering our asses here, but I feel confident saying that all the allegations are true because half of them were said by John K. himself.
It's not great.
No, it's actually quite horrifying.
Yeah.
It looks like we're watching like you attempting the most nightmarish version of Diner Dash imaginable.
I am now remembering what I was saying about about 24 hours of hell earlier tonight. The Gordon
Putting you in
Ramsay
24
show.
hours of hell.
Look, I'm just saying, if Gordon Ramsay showed up at like the diner I worked at for a couple years, from like 19 to 21, and said, "You are going to spend here all night here, and the entire time I'm going to be my camera crew is going to be shoving their cameras in your face while I scream obscenities at you," I would have just been like, "All right, I'm gone. You don't pay overtime. I like this job and I like you, boss, but this is not happening."
What if they did pay you overtime though?
I would have stuck around.
Okay, I have to ask, because I am assuming the emphasis on the crusty patio is because we won't actually go inside. Was that considered? Like the interior of the Krusty Krab?
Oh yeah, no interiors. That was like early on, like
Okay.
part of like we're not having interiors.
Just makes life.
That introduces all sorts of problems.
I mean, it's weird to think about, but I feel like that's the only, other than SpongeBob's house, that's the only like common interior I can immediately think of for SpongeBob. They spend a lot of time
Sandy's
outside.
house?
I feel like this might just be me talking nonsense, so please feel free to correct me, Lukupo, but I feel like in a cartoon like SpongeBob especially, there is very little like consistency between how big the outside of SpongeBob's house is and how big the inside of it is, which would make it a nightmare for modeling in a video game.
I think you just have to choose something. And I think this also applies to Patrick's house as well. Like, you know, like there's a certain size that's maybe makes sense in one view in the show, and then like in the next shot, it's totally different.
Yeah,
you know, like from shot to shot, you know, and
it changes size. Like
when you're adapting from 2D to 3D, you run into those kinds of issues.
I remember being very impressed by Breath of the Wild because all of the houses were basically just the size of the house itself. I was like, "Whoa, damn! They actually did that." It's continuous.
What were you saying, Lakupo?
I'm not sure anymore. But no, I was just thinking like at one point I think we were like in the very beginning of the game, in the intro, like I think we were thinking about like even scaling up Patrick to look a little bit better in that opening shot. But I think it kind of works out as it is, like the way that he falls off. Like if it was bigger, then you wouldn't really get to see the full animation, maybe. But just kind of an interesting thing where he feels too small when he's on the rock itself. But you know, when you're walking around inside of his house, you know, and the chair and stuff like that, like that's a better scale. But video games are weird anyway. Like I think there's like a
Scale's always gonna be weird in a video game.
Oh yeah.
Like a rule of thumb, like you're supposed to make doors that you can go through, maybe like a little bigger than they would be in real life, so that they feel better.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. It was
Because you don't have the dexterity to walk through all the like secondary senses you use to like never crash into a door frame. But if you're playing a game, you're just gonna crash into them unless they're like a little wider.
Right, and I think that's all like becomes like a point of contention with maybe like the art director who's like, for a game that might want it to look to scale, but for gameplay, you might need a door that's not to scale. And finding that balance.
I remember reading like that was a thing in Call of Duty games, because like you look at like screenshots of the game, like from first person mode, and they all feel natural. And then you see screenshots from like a third person camera, or like an outside camera, and it turns out all the characters are just tiny compared to the environments, because you have to scale them up so that like it doesn't be like weird and jarring when shown from a first person camera perspective. It's a whole thing. I like that. I like the weird ways that games like exist in a sort of unreality that has its own stupid set of rules.
Yeah, and you bring up like the whole, like first person versus third person is a whole,
Yeah.
Totally different, especially field of view, just changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. One of my favorite silly little videos was this guy who does actually like incredible work, but he was basically trying to recreate all the photographs, if you've played Breath of the Wild, that you have like preloaded in the camera that like are where Link's memories activate. But all of them are taken so that like you, the player, can see them and be like, yes, I recognize this, which means they're all taken from like 20 feet in the air, because that's where typically the camera is.
Right.
So to recreate those photos with the actual like in-game camera, he had to like basically push boxes all the way across the map and like stack them up very delicately to get like as close to the angle as he could. And even then, he couldn't quite recreate it. It
makes a lot of sense.
It's a dumb little thing, but it's fascinating to like see in practice how like the difference between like what somebody could actually feasibly photograph and like what the actual photograph is.
Especially in that case, like the memory photograph is mostly there to get you to go there.
Yeah, it's mostly there to be like, oh, okay, I sort of like recognize these landmarks, and I bet like if I stood there, that's where they would look. But it's not where like they would look to like the actual character's eyes. It was where they would look to the abstract third-person camera's eyes would be.
And so
it's one of those things.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but since I'm driving around a gasoline truck, I'm disappointed to learn that there's no fire.
Right.
A relic of when there was fire.
The gasoline truck doesn't do anything, but the dump truck does do stuff. Like I think you accidentally triggered the minigame.
Taco Bob, go steal a dump truck.
Yeah, I hit it for a button that you can collect trash.
And it has like a little vacuum, and like you can dump the back of it. That became a whole thing because like when I first prototyped that, it was like you had to like get out of the car, grab the the trash bags and throw them in. And we're like, let's put a vacuum on here, because then we got the vacuum running.
Let's put a vacuum on here.
Oh, Lacupo, I checked speedrun.com. The current speedrun world record for any percent is 22 minutes, and it was set a month ago. So there's been a little bit of a lull in like new runs of that caliber.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He was also like 10 minutes ahead of like second place, so whoever they were good.
Yay!
In second place, I forget his name, is like one like 5-letter word or something.
Hold on, I had the tab open. I have the tab open right now. Okay, the current world. No, actually, I was wrong. The current world record holder is Sleepyhead 08 with a record of 22 minutes and 24 seconds. Very nice. And right behind them is someone named Shift, who is at 20.
Shift. That's the SpongeBob runner.
He's the one that first week. you know,
They
even
are
if
at
it's-
23 minutes and 26 seconds, so they're close.
Yeah, Shift was playing this for a week straight, 8 hours a day, just constantly trying to get. You know, there's probably going more and more insane over time. I think at the same time, like some YouTube documentary came out that was, I think, titled like the most insane, speedrunner, or like, he's driving himself insane, which I think, not wrong. And I don't think he enjoyed the game. And he was a little bit.
He's just got that
snarky about
SpongeBob
it.
game compulsion.
I feel like if
And after that week,
An
he was
obligation.
like done with it. He was done with it.
I feel like if I played even a game like I really truly loved for 8 hours a day every day, I would hate it by the end of the week, because that's not a game.
Once the game
That's
becomes your job, it's no longer
that's a
fun.
job.
Yeah, particularly if it's just, it isn't even like, oh, I love this genre. It's a matter of, oh, this has this name on it, so I will play it regardless. Which, I mean, I have played for 5 minutes other SpongeBob games and said, yeah, no, not really my thing. And this is actually something I can confirm I'm going to return to after the stream. But, if I wasn't enjoying this, I wouldn't be like, well, another 8 hours on the clock.
Another 8 hours. Just back to the Patrick Star Game Factory.
I mean, obviously,
Working all day at the Patrick Star Museum.
Oh no.
I'm not going to finish that line because I have taste and class.
That's a lie, but it's a good thing you aren't doing that.
Thank
what were you
you.
saying, Lakapa?
I obviously Shift has put a lot of effort into finding routes, and pave the way for others. But
Routing is very important in speedrunning. Like the routers are, I would say, underappreciated in what they do, because they rarely get world records, but they often make world records possible.
The Trailblazers.
I think my dream, for the past couple of years, like with the game, is to see like a game at GDQ. So I feel like that there's such a huge audience for GDQ, and even if it's a game that maybe not everyone universally will love, it's still it's eyeballs on it. I'm like, and I think with this game we might finally have a chance for a game to show up at GDQ.
That would be cool.
I mean, the runs for this are fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, especially with the dumpster vacuum tech, or water sprayer. Water sprayer also works because that has the same.
Anytime a game starts producing tech, then you're hit onto something.
Like every other game we've had to either you fixed all the jank, and you can't really skip anything, and heavily story-based games, so you have to go through the whole story to finish it. So
Keep it nice and linear.
They don't have ways to really speed it up. But this game finally, this could be a good, 20 minutes at GDQ.
It's good speed game. 20 minutes GDQ. Yeah, I could see that.
Physics.
This table's supposed to be here.
I believe it is. I really hope it is.
What kind of fool are you?
I want it to continue doing that until the end of time.
Yay.
This is something I did appreciate about we didn't have a hand in making the trailers, nor the AI voiceover that they used. But the one thing I did appreciate was the ending of one of the trailers, where it was just a bunch of porta potties bouncing on the tents. I was like, yeah, you understand how to sell what this game is.
Yeah, I would say I believe you might even have been in the chat when we were watching the initial trailer or at least what I remember to be the first time I ever saw this game announced during Nintendo Direct, and I basically immediately said, "Oh, Goat Simulator, Patrick," and I'm glad that's what this game is.
Yeah.
Although that same day that it was announced, it was finally announced, because this is kind of which, and at the end of the day, it kind of, I guess, made sense because we're closer to holiday. It was released on Bill Froggerback's birthday, so it was like Patrick Star game coming out, when Patrick Star's voice actor's birthday. So that kind of was cute. But it was the same Nintendo Direct where they announced that Goat Simulator 3 was coming to the Switch. And I was just like, oh no. Which, they have a lot of freedom, and a lot of time and resources to make Goat Simulator what it is. But when I watch people play this game, like for the time that we had, dealing with license or restrictions and choices that they wanted, we had to abide by for good or ill. I don't want to make that sound.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I felt very proud of seeing the game in action.
Yeah, I mean, even as an outside observer, or even just like without the context of like the fights you had and lost, and the ideas that like just weren't in scope. Like, this is still, I would definitely describe this as something to be proud of, because like this is a very unique game for this. Like, you don't see, like, yeah, there's Goat Simulator. There's not a lot of other things that do this, and certainly not a lot of other things that do this with licenses. So like, this really does tap into something unique, I think.
It is really like
and
one of a
children's
kind.
licenses, to be clear. Like, I mean, we talked about that the one part like harkened back to Grand Theft Auto, and again, like, I've got a 10-year-old that's randomly around on occasion. I'm not letting him touch Grand Theft Auto. Like, he gravitates toward that game. It's like, no, get away. He gravitates towards this, and it's like, yeah, sure, have fun. And like, there's gameplay stuff that, like, ultimately, driving the ambulance in Grand Theft Auto, like, I don't believe there's like anything distinctly wrong with that portion of the game. But it's nice to see that replicated in something that is straight up like, I would have no problem with a kid doing this. Like,
I feel like you have a responsibility to the youth to let him play Grand Theft Auto.
Dude, I remember his older brother one time literally picked up Bayonetta 2. And I'm like,
oh yes.
I'm like, I don't think that's quite for you. And he's older, and I'm like, well, he's older, and like, I know what movies he's seen, so I'm like, you can turn it on, like, we can see if you want to play this. And he literally got through the intro and said, I don't think this is for me. I'm like, I don't think so either. Like, he's somebody who like had seen like the first Deadpool movie at that point, so I was like, okay, you can technically, I know this is allowed.
Every kid needs their first R-rated movie. I would say the first Deadpool is a fine kid's first R-rated movie.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with that.
My husband and I were watching like a YouTube video about, like, it's the channel This Aged Well, where they kind of talk about old movies from the 80s that probably have standards. Don't look at them kindly anymore. But
yeah,
we're watching one about like Commando, like with Patrick Schwarzenegger, or I don't know.
Did you say Patrick Schwarzenegger?
I'm reading Patrick, and I'm like,
engage.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'll be back.
Like Commando. It was. Commando, and my husband's just like, oh, like, I watched this when I was like 5, I love this, and it's like, people being murdered and stuff like that. So I mean, everyone has that,
Everybody
probably
needs
shouldn't have watched.
a first R-rated movie. Mine was The Matrix, which I would say is an excellent first R-rated movie.
Yeah,
because there's not really that much in it that like a 13-year-old couldn't handle. Other than like, the vast of amounts of murder.
The one, I think it's my first R-rated movie, but definitely my first R-rated movie controversy. I went on a trip with the Boy Scouts, and like we went to Washington D.C., which is a distance from where I am, and the local leaders for the Boy Scouts were like, okay, we'll go see a movie, and it seemed like the most appropriate movie available was Time Cop, which
that's awesome.
Has like super violence. Who gives a crap? But there's like a 3-second naked woman in that one virtual reality scene, and I'm pretty sure that was all our respective parents heard about when we got back from the trip. And it was like a minor local controversy that, children saw this R-rated movie on a
Children
trip.
saw Time Cop.
And we saw
That's
a naked
terrible.
lady at the Time Cop.
Oh no, a naked lady.
Welcome to the Time Cop.
I always remember seeing The Bank Job, which is one of my favorite movies. I like that movie a lot. But I saw it for the first time in theaters with my grandparents. There are about 3 seconds of a topless lady in that movie, right? Honestly, like I saw that in a movie today, I would be like, huh, that certainly is a topless lady for 3 seconds. When you are sitting next to your grandmother, those 3 seconds stretch into eternity.
There's 3 universes were conceived and died in the time that those 3 seconds occurred.
I experienced the heat death of the universe 3 times over in those 3 seconds.
I saw nothing.
I should probably think about what my first R-rated movie was.
Have you seen one yet, Chromes?
I know you are.
Yes, I have.
Are you certain? Because I would absolutely lie to you that like an R-rated movie you saw was actually PG-13. Or if a PG-13 movie was rated R.
Do they
You
even
wouldn't
make
know.
R-rated movies nowadays? They're mostly just Marvel movies.
There's the Dead Paul.
Yes. Yes, Dead Paul. And his best friend, Wolverine.
Wally
His
Vereen.
best,
Wally
his
Vereen.
best friend Wally.
His best friend, Walbert.
Okay. I remember that we got this on Redbox, and then like it aired on TV, but it was like a PG-13 cut of it. But I remember it being an R-rated movie.
Okay.
But it was called like "This Is the End."
Oh yeah.
And it was
That was great.
That'd be an
Shit, I just remembered what the first R-rated movie I saw was. Unfortunate choices. Mine was The Evil Dead.
Oh jeez.
Oh, wow.
oh
I remember reading Bruce Campbell's autobiography. He spent
Yeah.
like 2 months or like a couple months helping Sam Raimi prepare a 4TV cut of Evil Dead 2 that
Kind
never
of
got
make that
aired
one happen.
because Evil Dead 2 is a very funny movie. Yes, I mean I'm sure we all in this chat would agree on that. It becomes much less funny when all the moments of incredible gore are cut out and replaced with very long takes of the characters' horrified faces. It just becomes so much scarier. And that was Bruce Campbell's Bruce Campbell's take was, we took what is a very funny movie and made it so much more scary.
The reason that the first R-rated movie I saw was The Evil Dead was because I saw Army of Darkness on TV, and I was like, oh, that was fun. I want to watch the other one.
Good. I love Army of Darkness.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's a great
The
movie.
Evil Dead is mostly just a normal horror film that happens to be like spectacularly gory and also a little rapey.
Yeah, it's intense.
To interrupt Evil Dead conversation, I do have to ask: at what point were vacuum physics realized to be the best thing ever?
Probably pretty early after we got them working.
Once you realize what you've got happening, you kind of have to see it.
I do like.
I mean, like
that,
we specifically did want this interaction of like being able to pull yourself,
Yeah.
a lot. Like it had to program that in.
I feel like it's really good that there is both a blow and vacuum function, because
That's
one
that's
way.
canon to the reef blower episode.
No, absolutely, but like, I really like that. Like, you can just. It also creates like in gameplay, a just a really great like scenario where you can like. There's one version of movement where you can just point in the direction you want to go, and another version where you can point away from where you want to go, and both of them are valid. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a memory of early SpongeBob that lives with me, which is just the episode where Squidward goes to live in the town of Squidwards.
Oh yeah.
And,
That one's a fucking classic. I love that.
And Patrick, like they're asking everyone, "Are you Squidward?" Patrick eventually asks a fucking fire hydrant, "Are you Squidward?" And of course it doesn't respond. And the scene cuts after he says, "It's okay, take your time."
Are you
There
my
was a-
mom?
Patrick
There was
is nothing if not incredibly patient.
There wasn't a control prompt there when you were sitting in the chair, but
Well,
It is
obviously, I have to go back now.
but I mean, forget which button it is, offhand, but there is.
You'll
a
just have to push every
interaction.
button then. Goggle Bob, are you prepared to push all the buttons?
Even the off button.
Clearly not prepared enough.
Equinox Fracture in the chat saying, I assume about the reflowers. I wrestled with the audio on these things throughout the entirety of development, from its inception to the last week of my time on the game.
Oh, you can just go to sleep.
Sleepy time.
Sometimes you just want to.
Oh,
Oh, I know what this. This is.
That was my last quarter.
You have destroyed me.
Oh, you missed this.
you missed
this
it.
is
This is how it
this is how-
opened.
this is how the game starts.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
how it opens.
I
And then you
wasn't
wake up.
here, but like,
Yeah,
I'm just so glad that you put this in the game.
Yeah.
It's
This is
one of my
actually the tutorial.
favorite stupid gags.
But it's I had to like set this up so that like in this version of it, like there's an infinite supply of quarters to keep it going. And there's I think the same button that you used to go to sleep lets you wake up.
I do just love the in that original like cartoon. It's like, you can do anything you want, Patrick. It's like
Yeah.
just happily sitting here. That's all he wants.
Patrick can fall
He's a
asleep
man of
while
simple pleasure.
asleep.
You can
I'm sure
sleep
that at some point
within
someone
the
was
dream.
like,
We have to go deeper.
Yeah,
I'm sure
we're
at some point,
inceptioning.
like, someone suggested the idea of like, well, what does he dream of if you fall asleep in the dream?
I would
Let's
hope.
see.
I would hope that it's just another version of the ride, and that it keeps like inceptioning until like level 47, where it suddenly becomes like this incredible action movie, and then level 48 is just the ride again.
Then he sleeps through it, yeah. He knocks out right after that.
The word ride is just making me think again of those early episodes, like the episode SpongeBob gets sick, he gets the suds. They take him to the fucking doctor. The doctor just calls in a human hand, which uses him like a normal ass sponge. That cures him. Patrick pretends to have the suds to the doctor, taking vengeance upon him for having pretended to be a doctor that entire episode. It just shows the human hand like rubbing like a prop starfish against like a cactus. Patrick just saying, "I just want the same ride."
Well, it is getting to be 11 o'clock. I think I'm going to clean up the fire department, which I believe has brought us full circle on developer information.
Bring back. In conclusion, bring back fire.
Yeah, in conclusion. Fire.
I'm going to like do like a horrific month-long like hate campaign, bringing back fire because of woke.
You can't burn things down anymore because of woke.
I'm going to like get the Firefall idiots like citing me as like his greatest inspiration.
Just keep calling the game Fall.
I'm just. Oh, now I'm just. One
I
more thing
refuse to
about
say
the,
his name
the-
because
the
I hate
recent-
him.
the recent Beavis and Butthead reboot. One of the single best jokes they had was just an episode where Beavis is by himself. He finds a fire in a dumpster. He's extremely pumped about this. The fire begins speaking to him. And the only thing the fire wants him to do is to do wholesome things that improve his life. Fire asks him to go take a run around, like take a couple mile jog around a
running track. Yeah.
Yeah, running track. It asks him to write a book report on Call of the Wild. It asks him to pick up. It asks him to pick up a bunch of litter. He does that. He's really irritated, and then it asks him to write a book report on Call of the Wild. At which point he seeks out someone to go put the fire out. Doesn't have to be 2 pages. A paragraph.
Beautiful.
That fire sucked.
All right, so Koopa, thank you once again for joining us this evening.
Thank you for
conclusion,
playing the
make
game.
Patrick write a book report.
I can tell you, it has been a pleasure, and I am going to play the game more. Like this is genuinely like. There's stuff that I realized that I was going to horribly fail over and over again on the stream. So
I couldn't embarrass myself in front of the guys.
It's just more like it gets boring.
Gold medal. Yeah, you got plenty of gold medals.
Yeah, I mean, like enough. Krabby Patty Assembly, like I figured that out like a minute and a half in, and then it's like I'll come back for this later. I
want to say thank you so much for showing up and giving us all the developer knowledge. We've always appreciated that. That's super great.
It was a ton of fun.
It's cool.
Happy to talk about all the amazing stuff that we were able to pull off.
Yeah.
All the talented people, and I'm glad that we give a shout out to Equinox Fracture, Alex Cole, the sound designer, for his insight.
Yeah, it was fun to see his insights in the chat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that was great. Equinox, you rule.
He's an amazingly dedicated, sound designer. Like just the things that people are thinking, like everyone's like, oh, like we need this for a sound, and just he's thinking way beyond that to every single permutation of the sound. And don't forget to play with the clarinet. He actually recorded those clarinet sounds. I think for the clarinet next to.
Okay, that's dedication right there.
Squidward, I used your clarinet to unclog my toilet.
Go play the clarinet, dogs.
We're working on it. Am I doing it?
That's what the
I've got the stream muted, obviously, but all I can think of is Patrick just playing single notes, like the sax man in the Lonely Island song "Sax Man," as Jack Black just berates him.
Toss the clarinet. Sorry, clarinet.
We got our Skyrim reference.
Just tracking that thing.
Clarinet throws well.
Oh,
the clarinet is edible. Please eat the clarinet.
Consume.
Squidward's gonna be so angry.
Devour it. I'm sure that it was probably outside the scope of things you could do, in the game, but it would have been hilarious if, Patrick's neck just very obviously had, a clarinet-shaped obstruction in it. And for, the next 4 cutscenes or whatever, every time he tried to talk, he just made clarinet noises.
That would have been awesome, but again,
I realize not everything. I realize not everything is I realize there are limitations to game design. I understand.
Sometimes it's enough just to get the clarinet in there.
Yeah,
okay,
I do what you can.
It's just incredibly funny that you can actually eat it.
I've determined I need to end this stream on a power move, so we're just hold on a moment while the world reloads.
We're waiting.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Suspiciously.
Oh yes.
Suspiciously clarinet-shaped throat. I don't know why I was struggling to say the word clarinet. What is wrong with me?
Words
it's a
are
very
hard.
difficult word.
Okay. Because I realized that this can be done.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh god.
Oh, yes.
Hey, buddy.
Yes. Yes.
Look over here. There we go. I understand he doesn't quite understand what just happened, but it had to be done.
That's
Oh,
cruel of
you monster.
All right, that's where we're gonna call it. So, good night, everybody. Go have fun with your own
night.
Patrick Star.
No.
Good night.
Good night.